Hey, what's going on, everybody? Tonight we got a special show. We're going to talk about men and mental health. And of course, my name is Dennis, and we have Ta-tanisha. I'm actually we actually are both the creators of the shop, and I'm looking forward to tonight's topic. So, Ta-tanisha, go ahead, say. I
Hey,
don't. I don't
what's
okay, I
up,
can hear you.
everybody? As you said, I'm Ta-tanisha, and I'll be presenting tonight. You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hey,
Oh,
everybody.
okay. Is it the lady?
It's choppy a little bit, but I can definitely hear you.
Is it a
A little
delay?
bit, a little bit.
Okay. So, like Blue said, tonight we're going to be talking about men and mental health. Um, so feel free to ask your questions, raise your hands if you want to join the conversation. If you have something that you want to say, just raise your hand. So Blue, um, the light is on you tonight, sir.
Light is on me. Okay.
So, my first question was, how do we get men talking to each other
Um,
about mental health?
how do we get men to talk to each other about mental health? Um, I don't know. Men have a lot of pride, so it's hard to say how. um,
Hmm.
only thing I can give you I'm gonna give you my honest opinion about everything. So I'm hoping that there are some more men in the group that would hey, what's going on, Joe? That would actually like to chime in as well.
Right.
I think it all starts with just communicating with each other, and I think when it comes down to men, it's more of a pride thing. So that's just like that if you think about it, men don't like to show their feelings. Some men. So if it comes down to them keeping it to themselves or actually speaking to someone about it, I think it's going to be more of a more men keep things to themselves. They keep stuff balled up.
Hello.
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you now. Hmm. Hey, what's going on, Winston? Right. I can't hear you, Tatanisha. If you can hear me, I can't hear you.
Um, I'm going to reposition myself because I need to reposition myself because I think that the service in my house is making it hard for
Okay, no
me.
problem.
But you can go ahead and finish. You can continue to speak.
No, I think that's what it is. As far as when you think about mental health, people don't want to really admit that they have a problem. Um,
Right.
and I think with everything that goes on in today's society, and as we are, men are highlighted to be as strong and stone hard, or just men are and society is supposed to be strong, so you don't want to show weakness.
So you don't think that men, you think that men and have they're reserved about even talking to.
You said, say it again. I'm sorry.
So you think that men have reserve about talking with each other about mental health, or that they're going?
I think. I mean, I think when it comes down to it, and these are just my opinions. Um,
Right.
I think that most men, like I said before, it's a pride thing. So if you're a man and talking to another man about your issues, you don't want anybody, or they might not want anybody to feel that they're weak or less of a man. So I just think that that plays a big part. It shouldn't be like that, but that plays a big part in in a lot of things as far as I feel when it comes down to men.
Right. Is there anyone in the chat that want to elaborate on that? I see Winston and Joe. Hi, Winston. Hi, Joe.
Rob Reese, hey, what's going on? Danielle, Preston,
Hey, Danielle.
hey. I mean,
Okay.
I'm an open book, so I mean, ask me all the questions you want, and I'll definitely give you my
Okay.
honest opinion. And if any guys want to
Okay.
chime in on how they may feel, definitely.
So why do you why do you feel it's hard for men to express their feelings?
Just the pride. I think it's a pride thing. I think that are you asking for all men? Or are you talking about black men? Or are you talking about what
I
is
don't
it?
want to. I don't want to put. Um, I don't want to stamp anybody. I'm just for men as a whole. But so if you want to, if we're gonna go that way, then I'll say. So why do you think black men uh find it hard to express their feelings?
Just like the topic we had last week, I think that um, just like women, I think, especially in our culture, and I'm not trying to single out any other culture at all. I think that we've been through so much in the past that the past affects the future. So when you think about, like I said again, you think about men as being strong and if they do have problems or if they do feel sensitive about a certain subject, they might least likely be telling you or saying something to, especially the woman. And
Mm,
if we're talking about a black woman, they don't want to feel less than or weak. That's just my opinion.
okay. Do you feel like that would be across the board, no matter what the race of the man is?
I think that'd be across the board. 100%. I think that'd be across the board.
Okay. Um, should should a man see a male therapist?
I agree. I think so. I think when you see a therapist, I think it's a double edged sword. I think you should see somebody that can relate to you. But
Mm-hmm.
in some instances, depending on what it is, I think you should see somebody that maybe has had different scenarios, different situations that you might not have been in. So 100%, I think that man should definitely see a therapist, a man therapist, man or woman. But I think if you are a man, more men will be able to relate to another man
Right.
compared to a woman trying to give you advice on how to be a man or how you should feel as a man. What's going on,
Mm-hmm.
everybody?
Hey, Robert says she said she was having issues requesting to speak before, but that's just us pulling you up, Robert.
If
Do you
Rob
feel
if you
that
could,
also?
if she could put her email address in there, I could add her. I could
Yeah,
directly
okay,
add.
right. So do you feel Angie says do you feel that also goes back to how boys are treated from young, taught not to be as emotional? That was one of my questions, Angie. Thank
I,
you.
I think that it does go back to when you are young. I think like when you're a kid, you and you're taught, depending on who raised you, taught not to be soft. Like
Right,
what you crying for? You know what I'm saying? Or like I just think that that's just being your upbringing. It all depends. It depends on who the person is and who the family is. Like I said, it's a bigger. It goes back. I think it's a generational thing. So different people are raised different ways.
right. Um, right. Well, oh,
Go ahead. I'm still here.
I know. I lost you for a second. Is there anyone? I because I wanted to be able to have other people. Like I see Sun saying yes to the therapist. And I wanted to know if anybody else wanted to elaborate on those questions, because this is, and Preston said he got the kids running around, so he can't really. I do have someone that is. I had a couple of guests that I wanted to bring up. Did you
Okay.
send Robert? Yeah.
I'm actually gonna add Robert's directly. Hold on one second. I'm getting
Okay.
her email address.
Do you see Keisha Yuri on there?
Mm, she have to add if Keisha could say something in the chat.
Okay.
I could bring her up.
Good evening, Crystal.
Hey Crystal, how are you? Um,
I had a few people that this is the field that they're in, so they would have been
okay.
perfect for the conversation. Um, but I wanted to know, because I posed a question on my on a live that I did, and I
Hmm.
definitely wanted to bring it here. Like, who do you think, where do men go uh to actually vent? Like, I know for women there's a lot of different places and groups and stuff like that. Where do you think men go to speak, to actually vent or pour into, or how
I
do you
think
think they release that tension?
I think the first person, depending on if that person has a good relationship with their significant other, they're gonna talk to them. Um, that's just my opinion. I think a lot of men and I know a couple people up here that can vouch for that. Feel like it's almost like being ashamed of talking to somebody or going to get help, especially
Well, what
when
about you? What about you?
um I've been there before. I'm not gonna lie. I've been at the point where I've been depressed. Um, you name it. I've every situation you could possibly think of, especially in business, but just as a man, I even suicide. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just being
Right.
real with you. I don't know one person that hasn't at one point, and I can't speak for all men, but have thought about like, damn, you know what, man, I'm going through A, B, C, and D. I could just end it, and I've been down that point. And should I have went and spoke to somebody or like far as professionally, yeah, but you think that for me, I thought that I didn't need that. Luckily I had the friends that I have that are around me. Son is actually up here. I thank God for him. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of the stuff that I went through when I got through was because I had that support of somebody behind me that keeps pushing me, telling me, "Yo, you got this." You know what I'm saying? Just keep winning. So everybody doesn't have that, and I think that's where the issues come in because if you're not a strong-minded person, you could be one of those victims that actually takes your life, or you could be one of them victims that or them people that actually put your hands on a woman because you don't know how to release or feel like you don't know where to direct your anger from or direct your anger at. So I definitely I feel like it is I just like I said I'm not perfect. I can't tell. I could only tell you from my experience, but I've probably, especially us as in business and just as a man in general, I've probably been through every emotion that you could possibly think of.
So Faith says men go nowhere, especially black men. Everyone has this perception that if a man vents, he is weak. If he cries, he is weak. But that's a very unproductive and dated way of thinking. Science is real. Emotions are real. Life is hard, especially for black men who most statistically grow up without a
God bless.
father
What's
or a
your
father
email?
figure, unfortunately.
Um, hmm,
I agree.
I agree.
So, so my question, going back, because I didn't want to cut you off in the beginning. Say,
Mhm,
if I know you said that if you have a significant other, I see son saying he goes to female friends or someone he feels comfortable with. I see a couple of people say that they would go to, well, Crystal says men go to other men.
mhm.
Um, but listening to you and then listening, like men, I don't think that, and I'm a woman, don't get me wrong, but I'm listening to what you're saying, and men don't usually just go and pour into the other guys. They might make light of it sometimes to protect their feelings. But
Mhm.
say for instance you weren't it was a relationship or your
Okay.
significant other that was causing that anguish, then who would you like how would you handle that? Like, who do you talk to? You can't
I
go to
think
your significant other.
I think if it's in a relationship, I think if it's a toxic relationship, and I could honestly say, for me, as I'm getting older and I'm knowing what I want and I don't want, I think when it comes to those relationships, and that comes with time also, that you have to get away from that. Everybody, that doesn't happen all the time.
Right.
Um, whether it's a parent or whether it's a friend, or if it's a toxic relationship, you should really get out of that toxic relationship. And that's just my opinion. Faith, thank you for joining. We can hear you, but we can't see you. There's another
Yeah,
icon
I can
beside
hear
the
him also.
microphone. Yeah. Can you hear us, Faith?
I can't hear him
I
or
can't
see him.
either. Faith, hit the that little icon beside you. I know Rabrice, she was trying to. I'm gonna bring her up on my live.
Okay.
Hold up.
So when it comes to abuse, do you, and then I know the answer to that, but I'm just asking you,
Mhm.
um like do you feel like men are afraid to get out of a relationship when being abused?
Mm. The man being abused.
Yes.
I I don't know, and that I never been in a situation like that. So
Right.
I honestly I couldn't give you an answer. Is if anybody that's in the chat, that's a man that's been in an abusive relationship, maybe they can answer that. But I've never been in an abusive relationship.
Right. Sometimes men talk to their best friend that they trust to give them the correct advice, or seemingly what they feel is the correct advice, Crystal, because sometimes people, I don't know, everybody is not to be trusted. Some people are good listeners.
Yeah,
Everybody's not a good person to actually get feedback from. I know sometimes you don't need someone to give you feedback. Sometimes you just need that ear. Somebody's right. Okay. There's
Rubrics.
Robert.
Okay, she's on. Okay,
Faith, I still can't hear you.
what's up, Rubrics?
Hey,
And
Robert. Hi, Crystal.
Faith, Faith, I can't hear you. Rubrics, can you hear us? She turned the mic off.
Yeah, turn your
Turn
mic back on.
Yeah, if you could turn your mic back on and the camera.
Okay, so Faith is back.
Okay. And Robert, your microphone's still off. Okay, your mic is back on.
I can't see myself.
Yeah,
There
hit
she
the
is.
little icon. We can hear you, but I can't see you. It's a little circular icon beside the microphone.
You on there? You on there?
Yeah.
I think I
All right,
Joe
we can
says,
see you.
Men aren't born but bred. To be a man requires a lot more than being a male. We work our entire lives to be men, not something easily understood by women. and not something easily attained by grown boys. Women are allowed to place men. Here we go. Um, show vulnerabilities and power and fear, but society does not allow men to do the same without ridicule. Even if a man, even if a man defeated, he can still attain a moral victory by manning up the situation. We may lose, but we are still men.
Mm.
I disagree. I agree with some
Yeah.
stuff, but I disagree. And I have I'll explain that, but I want to let everybody else speak. Ta-tanisha, your camera's off. Faith,
Oh,
um,
hey,
go ahead.
Faith.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm absolutely blessed. How is everybody?
Pretty good, man. Thanks for coming up here and speaking. We appreciate you.
So, would you
Absolutely.
like to elaborate on some of the questions that was asked? I know you made a statement to one. I can't see it anymore, but so why?
Give me.
How do you think we get men to talking to each other other than, I mean, about mental health, Faith?
Mm.
I think that it requires me to be very open and non-judgmental. I think that black men, because we've been raised inside of we've been raised in a very judgmental environment. We ourselves have in tune become judgmental to one another, where we can't even let our hair down around our boys, but the women can let their hair down around their girls. We gotta embrace one another for who we are, what we are, and everything we do. Gotta start saying, "Hey, King, who are you? What's going on with you?" You know, that men is so hard. You know, as much as we're extroverts with physicality, we're not when it comes to emotions because we don't know that, and so we've been exposed. So I think that just talking to your brother and trying to understand him and showing him the right way, understanding that every man ain't right because men have this real dominant effect where they gotta be right about everything, and it's not about that sometimes. So with me, what I do to my fellow brothers is I say, good morning, King, good afternoon, King. I try to keep encouraged. I try to mentor some people. I try to talk to them when I can because the truth of the matter is men is honestly just looking for somebody to talk to, and most likely nobody knows a man like a man. So, and it comes to black men especially, and it's okay to just let your head down and be with the brothers and just vibe out. I think that men should do that more often.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Fabrice,
I got a more so I guess like a question.
go
Why
ahead.
isn't it read off as you being honest or transparent with the person versus oh I'm being emotional or oh I'm being weak?
I, I think I think to are you talking about as far as relationship wise or just in general?
Just in general. That's just in general.
I think it comes down to a lot of men don't know how to express themselves. Um,
Hmm.
for me, it took me a long time. I'm 36, and it took me a long time, and I could be transparent with you. It took me a long time to figure out who I was as a person. I think you women grow and mature way faster than men, and I truly believe that. But I think it took me a while to be able to fully understand and know who I am as a person. And I think when it comes down to men, they we don't sometimes know how to express ourselves. So instead of being completely honest up front, we might fabricate things or push it off as something else.
Mm.
Rashawn says, "Brothers, we love you. Embrace your warrior spirit and protect your sisters and children at all costs. We have to sharpen each other." And then Son says, "Men are prideful. Well, at least I am."
Yeah,
And I believe that to be true. But then I'm not a man, so really I really can't vouch for those things because I'm not a man. So right now I'm just here really to listen. But I do have a son, and I'm forever trying to figure him out. And some things are just because of his character, and then some things are just basically because he's a man. So Um, I was glad to join this conversation because I did want to figure us, just dealing with men as a whole. Um, I did another question.
How do you be a man if you don't have an example of being a man?
I agree.
Wow. Yes.
I'm so prideful on what a man was, and for a long time I didn't know what a man was. And for me, growing up in foster care, I've been around the block, I've done a lot of things, I've been homeless, I've been through the wire, and still I rise and still I smile and still I greet my kings and still I try to be a better person every single day. But I tell you this, it was rough. It was real rough, and I didn't know. And I think this, a lot of black men don't fucking listen. Excuse my language. We always want to know everything. We always want to be king. You can't be king if you don't know shit.
Yeah,
You think that education is unimportant. That's not factual. If you don't have a degree and you got a mindset of an entrepreneur, awesome. But the more knowledge you have, regardless if it's in school or out of school, the better. We got to start really listening to one another and and breaking down some shit. We got some stereotypical shit that other people in other countries are already past, and we way behind in the ball game. But we got some type of blockage, and it's not cool for the environment. We really gotta step up in this thing, man. I'm
I
so
agree.
Right.
proud that he comes to me.
No, I know
This is
Roy just joined us. Roy, your microphone is on, but your camera isn't. There's a small icon beside the microphone.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah, it's a small icon beside the microphone. It's a circular
All
icon.
right.
Crystal
I'm new to
said I
this,
have.
so I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, she has said I have a son too, and I'm proud that he comes to me when he has certain issues that he needs to vent. Absolutely. Oh, Preston.
Yeah, I just added them. Go ahead, Roy. I'm sorry.
Roy.
Yeah.
We can
So
we can hear
I
you.
was I was just trying to. I forget what the question was that the sister just asked.
Robrice,
Fabrice.
Oh, I forgot too. Hold on.
it was more so
Oh
why do
yeah.
men? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Why isn't it read off as or translated as being honest or transparent versus being emotional or weak?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that? It kept cutting up. Like I'm kind of new to this, so I'm still trying to get adjusted.
Okay,
You ready?
Robrice. Okay, can you,
Okay.
could you repeat that
Why does
question
it
again?
come off as why does it come off as being emotional or weak instead of being transparent and honest?
Did you hear that, Roy?
You see. All right, there you go. I
There
think
you
I
go.
got it now.
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
Yeah.
She said, "Why does it come off transparent as being I'm my fault."
So why does it
Why
come
does
off as being transparent or weak instead of what, Robbie's?
um emotional? I think I said
So pretty
something
much.
like that.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
In-
You were saying pretty
Instead of
much.
why does it come off as being emotional or weak instead of just transparent or honest when it comes down to discussing feelings with any
When it comes down to
situation in
discussing
general?
feelings.
Right.
Um, in most cases, a lot of black males they don't know how to talk about feelings. Um, we come
Oh,
from
that's bullshit.
um. Nah, I won't say that's bullshit. I'm going. I won't say it's bullshit. The reason why I say that is because um most black males we come from areas where um we react off emotions and we really don't know how to explain it. So um for instance, we're in a hostile area all the time. So you deal with a lot of hostility, aggression. So most of the times when you encounter another male, you dealing with aggression all the time, and you might not know how to express it on a different level where y'all can come to an agreement and talk. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I've dealt with that a lot.
Mm-hmm. So everybody,
So now go
if
ahead.
you're if you're saying, I've heard another person say environment. So what would the environment have to be for men to be more expressive? Like, how would you have to be raised or something?
Well, it's not really more so of how you're raised. For me, I was actually living in Newark, New Jersey for a long time. I currently don't live in Newark, New Jersey. I live in PA, and around me was you know aggression because of the poverty, because of broken homes. So it was a lot that everybody was dealing with. It wasn't just like 4 or 5 people. It was a lot of people dealing with the same thing. Like your family might be struggling in the house. So is not necessarily like something that it's kind of hard to explain. It's not necessarily that you don't know how to express yourself, but during that time, that's the only way that you deal with expressing you know what I mean, expressing yourself. So you deal with emotions immediately. Like case in point, if you're walking down a block, right, and there's a whole
Mm-hmm.
bunch of guys outside, and you might not say, "Peace, how's it going?" You might look at them like, "Man, they want," you know what I mean, because you already dealing with something that's going on within your household when they probably not even on that type time. But when you get older, you start to learn how to deal with things and express yourself. Like everything was going in and out because I was still trying to figure it out, so I couldn't hear everything. But I think somebody said that they're 36 and it took them a long time to learn how to express themselves.
Yeah, that was me. That was
That was
me.
the same. Yeah, that was the same deal for me. When I hit my early 30s, I'm 36 too. When I hit my early 30s, I learned how to talk to people. I didn't always come off in a different way, especially with black people. You know what I mean? I had a lot more patience because I understand that it due to systemic racism, we have a lot embodied in us, and we don't know how to deal with each other. You know what I mean? So we react in unrational ways.
No, I agree. I think it like I think it's a generational thing. But I'm gonna speak on that. I know Joe just came on.
Hello, Joe.
What's
What
going
up?
on, Joe?
So you
So
want to
what?
elaborate?
Well, I'm 36. I'm 36 as well. Um, it wasn't an easy 36. The reason I think the reason why I only could speak for myself. I can't speak for anybody else, but I think the reason why uh men, emotions, feelings, all that stuff, it doesn't play a significant role in our lives, and it's something that's very hard to talk about, is because of our memories. Um, our memories are fragile things. They aren't just sounds and visuals. They for the most part they exist between the sounds, between the visuals. And I think in order to understand it, to penetrate the human heart, I think you have to understand human emotions first. You know what I'm saying? The second, you have to allow yourself to grow in love with to grow in love with someone. There's not a lot of love. I don't believe in our community. We say there's a lot of unity, there's a lot of love, there's a lot of togetherness, and Black Lives Matter and everything. But for the most part, I think we say that as a rallying cry, but do we really believe it? Because I always say that everything that starts that manifests on the outside comes from the inside. It starts at home first. And the
Mhm.
thing is,
Absolutely.
we always talk about protecting our children and protecting our women, but what about us? What about the men? You know what I'm saying? Somebody has to protect the protectee at some point. You know what I'm saying? Because that narrative is very, I don't want to say detrimental, but I think it's deconstructive for the most part, because you're putting men out there as being expendable. And just like I mentioned in my message before that I typed up, is, you know, we're not allowed to say that we hurt. We don't know. We're not allowed to say that we have feelings, or we have disappointments, and we have fears and stuff like that, because it's like, oh, you know, man up, or you're coming off as a bitch, or stop complaining. And there's people, you know, they make a lot of excuses for us to try to overcome a lot of our situations. And for the most part, how do you tell a contractor to build something without a blueprint? You can't tell a contractor to build anything without a blueprint. So it's kind of like a hard, you know, winding road for us as men, because we don't really have all of the ideas. We don't really have all of the solutions to kind of fix ourselves. So we try to find any outlet that we can. You know what I'm saying? We drink alcohol, we smoke weed, we you know what I'm saying? We just have empty sex with other people. You know what I'm saying? We find our vices become our virtues and stuff like that. And then what happens after that is we end up in prison. For the most part.
I wanted, it's a couple things I wanted to elaborate on. I know, Ta-tanisha, I wanted to bring this up, and I'm gonna let you say that. I just wanted to think about it while I'm thinking about it. What does it warrant in our community, right? You have a lot of domestic violence.
Right.
You have a lot of domestic violence. You have a lot of you have a lot of drug use. I still think it goes back to, it's a generational thing. Me and Danielle had this conversation the other night. And Danielle, if you're here, could you just say something? I forgot exactly how she labeled the question, but I want to tell you exactly what the question that she asked me, if she's still in here. The question that she asked me, and I wanted to answer it because I wanted y'all to see if y'all had the same feeling that I feel. So, you mind if I go ahead? Danielle, could you please ask that question that you asked me? Because it'd be interesting to hear everybody's point of view of how I thought or how I think about what's going on in today's society. Go ahead, Ta-tanisha.
Preston said trained us not to speak to each other, and we still rolling with that shit, shaking my head. Crystal said pride has a lot to do with it too. Because of a man, if a man is having issues, you tell him to talk about it, he'll say, nah, I'm good, when he really isn't, but he doesn't want to appear to be a punk. But my what I was gonna say is a statement and not it's a question and not it's a statement and not a question. This wasn't necessarily about men as a separate race, and I understand that we have to discuss that, right? But when I'm asking, I asked, do black men hate black women? Oh,
yes, she did, and I'll elaborate on that.
So, but I wanted to know. So when you guys answer, I honestly want to know, you know, based on your point of view. But I also want to know, do you feel that this is a thing for men across the board? Because this is a general conversation about men, not just black men.
I don't think it's across the board. I think majority of the stuff, yeah, we all can relate as men. But I don't think that it's across the board. Just like Danielle asked, right? She said, I asked, do black men hate black women, right? I don't think that it's not black men hating black women. I think it's, like I said, it's a generational thing. All right. So if you go back to slavery, right? I think that when it comes down to black women, let's go back to slavery. Black women have been so devalued over time and time again, from us as men, as black men, actually having to see are their wives getting raped in front of them, and your oppressor being the one that is he's doing all these things to you, and on top of that, he's your oppressor. So then you fast forward, we go years later. Now, black women are still being devalued, but not only are they being devalued by black men, but this is something that we've seen over and over again. So if I'm the one that's seeing my if I'm a slave and I see my wife getting raped by the master, right? And she has a kid by the master, but then it's my job to raise that master's kid. How do you think I'm gonna feel as a black man towards my wife? I'm gonna have animosity.
Yeah,
So
but
I
in
think
this, if something was that like that was to happen, and you and I both know that this has happened, and in conversations that we had, that it would deem to be her fault that she has this child. I
it,
mean,
it wouldn't be her fault. It wouldn't,
it's
but
not.
you still,
You think that, and I think that.
but as a
I
man,
feel
you
that.
still
We
get
know that.
my fault. I mean,
Go ahead.
I was just saying, as a man, you still gonna feel some animosity. And then as generation and generation and generation, that's where you have these men that and on top of everything else, you got from drugs being put in our community, from households being broken, from you seeing a man put his hands on a woman and people think that that's right. I think like you said, and like Roy was saying, it's the environment that you're in. And if you don't know anybody,
Those same things you're saying is across the board. There are drugs in all communities.
I
There is domestic violence in all communities.
Wait, let's
There
just let's
is,
just let's just
we
stick to
have
the
we have
side.
mainly broken, I mean, we have broken homes, but let's be honest, like this is the community that we're in. We really don't know what's happening in those communities. These things happen across the board. It's not just happening to us.
Nah, it's not. But it's an example of why some of the things that have happened in our community have happened, in my opinion. I
Right.
can't speak about everybody else. I can only speak about what I've experienced and what what we as people and me as a man have gone through. So it's just like if I'm happy that women have made so much progress and um, so much strides, and women are the backbone of men. They're the ones that's on the front line faster than a man would be. But at the same time, you have these men, or you have men, and I can't. I'm a man myself. You have men that are intimidated by women because now they are doing things that men are doing.
So
Yeah.
Preston said we're referring to brothers not speaking to each other, but here males are taught to suck it up and keep it moving. Period. No, I wasn't speaking about you, Preston. I was speaking as whole. And the Crystal says some men do hate black women and some don't, which we know. Um, Marcella said breaking generational curses. Crystal said this, and this right here is what I meant. That happens today.
Mhm.
When a woman gets raped, some men look at her different and resent his woman after she's raped. And that is so true.
It is.
As if she caused herself to be violated in that way. I'll let y'all go back to them, but Preston said it has been scientifically proven that our ancestors' stresses are now in our DNA. A lot of things we experience, we are already predisposed to and don't realize we behave a certain way unknowingly. Drugs are just passed through the system, so is stress. Drugs are not just passed through the system, so is stress. And then Crystal said there are men who are being abused and won't leave when he's being abused, which is what I was saying before all these gentlemen got on, is that men, how do men handle an abusive relationship? Like, what do you do? Do you feel like just the way that a woman, and I know you said you
I
can't
can't.
relate to
Yeah.
that, but you do have men that are in abusive relationships. I know I've seen them. And why aren't you leaving? Are you afraid? Is it I don't know what that, like, why is it that way?
Has anybody been in an abusive relationship? It doesn't even have to be a relationship. It could be
Yeah.
a parent.
Situation, yes.
My brother, my brother was in a abusive relationship before, um, and I think he didn't leave as quick or yeah immediately because he was more shocked that a female, a woman,
Oh, you want somebody to answer?
hit him. So he had to, huh?
Go
Now
ahead,
go ahead,
Robbie.
go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
go ahead, finish, finish.
Yeah,
So
I
he
do.
had
There are
to.
men
I
that
don't know.
Hold
abuse.
Like,
on, Joe.
Oh,
Oh,
hold up.
Hold on.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Robbie.
um, so it came to him as a shocker. Like I didn't. He didn't even tell me about it. I had to, like see
can't hear.
marks, see this and see that. What I normally don't see on my brother. Then I had to ask, and I stepped in to end the relationship more so
Okay.
So
for
why
my
did you
brother.
think that? So he stayed? How long did he stay?
It probably was going on for like maybe 2 to 3 months.
Okay.
So short, sweet, yeah.
Yeah, it was short, but it's still. I don't feel like if I would never seen it myself, it would he would have probably stayed there.
You
You
see,
know.
Yeah,
Crystal said you got to.
I never experienced anything like that.
And I believe you, Crystal. When a man reports that he's being abused, he's looked at as a liar, and he's not believed. And I also seen where a man says that, or a young man, or whoever says that he's being raped, and it's not children. We're talking about men that saying he's being raped is looked at as a joke or as he's lying.
It's some strong women out there.
Go ahead,
Can
Joe.
I talk? Oh, go ahead.
Joe, go ahead. Go ahead, Joe.
I don't have nothing to say.
Oh, I do.
No. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Robbie.
So I had another brother. My brother, he passed away. It was one of my oldest brothers. He was, I want to say, 12 or 13. I think he was 13. My stepmom, she used to always leave him at home. When she went to the store, she'd take my sisters or whatever, but she wouldn't take him. And my brother, he always asked, he was like, "Can I go to the store? Can I go to the store?" And she would never let him know, "Stay with him. You need to learn how to be a man. Blah, blah, blah. You need to learn how to be a man." So instead of him vocalizing that he was being molested, he killed himself. He hung himself. And my sister found him dead in the
Yeah.
closet. So I don't
Mm.
know.
How
It's
old was
kind
he?
of, hmm,
How old was he?
13.
Yeah, hung himself in the closet.
Hmm.
I hear that.
But it comes from, I don't know, like even just what my mom's just saying. I mean, my stepmom just saying, be a man, or be around a man. Is like, why is it even instilled when they're that young, when y'all are that young to not be expressive when somebody like doing something to you?
And this was a female or a male that did this to him.
This is a
Oh,
male.
he got raped by the boyfriend.
The boyfriend. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
Person said a
that's
lot of
why he
men
kept on
think
asking
that's
to
sexy.
leave.
It's crazy. Did she wait? She left him?
No, she always used to leave him at the house with the boyfriend to learn how to be a man.
Right, but I'm
Like,
saying even after this
oh
happened,
yeah, she
did she?
left him. Yeah, she left him.
Yeah.
I mean, he in jail too,
Right. A
as
lot of
well.
men think that's sexy. Shaking my head. They say, "Man, that's crazy." The crazy women are attractive, or they believe it's just passion. I don't find it attractive. It's dangerous as hell.
Yeah. Joe, I know. Well, I know me a lot of stuff that I could relate to because I know some of the stuff I could relate to because I know you said you've been through a lot growing up. Um, what is some of the stuff that you've seen, far as being growing up as just being a man? Period. Can you hear me, Joe?
Huh? Oh, my bad. I'm outside.
Okay. Nah, I was saying the stuff that as a kid you growing up. What's some of the things that as a man, as from growing up from a boy to a man that you experienced?
Well, I was one family of three. I grew up in East Orange. I was one family of three that had a father in the house.
Hmm.
Like my dad was in the house. Everybody thought that I was rich because my dad was there. You know what I'm saying? And my dad worked for New Jersey Transit and stuff like that. I had my stepmother there, but my earlier years, I say from the time I was like, as far as from around 6 to around my second year of high school, that's when my grandmother raised me. And then my dad got married to my stepmother, and then my dad raised me throughout my teenage years until my young adult years. So the thing is, I had an idea of, you know what I'm saying, what a strong man looked like, what a father was, as opposed to like my neighborhood counterparts. Until my dad got sick. My dad really got sick, and he became a shadow of himself because of that. My dad taught me a lot. My dad taught me to respect women, but he also told me don't take no shit off of them either. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the most valuable lessons I learned from my dad. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I have to say about that.
So I'm reading your comment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was talking about, she made the statement about her younger brother being raped by a man. And then your statement went to hood rat sex is equals
No, you know what? With him, he
off
couldn't
of
hear
some
her.
like any or stole your car.
I know he couldn't hear anything she was saying. That's why I was telling him hold on, because he couldn't
Right.
hear.
I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, he couldn't hear anything she said.
Yeah, but I'm just saying if you
I
can't,
was I was actually
yeah,
responding to
but everything, like even this last comment, everything is always about, everything is always about that's being directed towards
Yeah, men do go through a
the
lot.
things that you self and all of it. And I mean, you go to like this hood rat and this that, and always directed towards the. I'm pretty sure based off the, living your own truth.
right.
But your damage wasn't just done by women. Your damage wasn't just done, like there is a certain things that need to be addressed with you when you take press, and doesn't always that be the problem. At some point, you gotta look at yourself and see what it is that you contributed to the issues that you have.
Okay. All right. Let's be
Mm-hmm.
let's be fair for a minute, because I get in conversations about this all the time. You know what I'm saying? Not only on this red table talk that we having right here, but personal conversations with, I have a lot of female friends as well. Um, Most of them are exes. You know, we got terrible lovers. Now we became friends. But for the most part, they tell me the same thing. It's just like y'all all reading from the same playbook. You know, it's like if I'm batting a
I'm
zero,
not reading a label. I'm talking to you.
you know what I'm saying? Like, I look at it from an economic standpoint, from a business standpoint. Follow me for a second. If you have a business, right? The first thing they tell you about opening up a business, the most important thing in that business is the most important thing is location. You may have a good product, a great product, but you may be in the wrong location. Does that make your product persona non grata? Does that make your product bad? No, it's just the fact that you're in the wrong location to advertise your product. You know what I'm saying? To get people to understand your product. I consider myself a catch, to be honest with you. For the most part, I am a loser when it comes to women because it's the location that I'm in. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a veteran of the U.S. Army. I did my
So
time in the military. I have a college degree. I graduated from NJCU last year in 2017 with a bachelor's degree in political science. It took me 7 years to get my degree. A lot of people I know don't have a
which they
degree.
wouldn't know until you talk
Yeah,
about it.
they don't know that, but they just assume that I'm like everyone else. And when I kind of show these women that I'm a different person, I get labeled
as a cornball, or I get labeled as a square, or I'm not thug enough, or I have no swag. Do people even still say swag in 2020? I'm just asking. But anyway,
Oh
like,
my goodness.
yeah, I get told that all the time. So you know what? That residual anger that I have, yes, I can't say I can't direct it towards white women because I haven't been treated like that by white women. I haven't been treated like that by Puerto Rican, by Hispanic women, besides the one a long time ago when I was 24. But it's mostly it's mostly
Is
But
anybody else having a hard time hearing him? Because I'm not hearing anything he's
Yeah,
nah,
I
saying.
but
heard it.
what the biggest thing is that I want to
I
say.
you didn't hear
can't hear
nothing I
nothing.
said.
Nah, she just left the conversation. She'll be right back. I got a question for you,
What up,
Joe.
man?
If do you feel that sometimes you need to speak to a therapist? And I'm saying that because me, sometimes I need to speak to someone.
Man, listen,
I'm just
yo, like
I'm just being real.
you know what I'm saying? Like I'm like a war veteran when it comes to these relationships, bro. Like I have stories for
But,
days, bro.
but
You probably think,
not even relationships. I'm just saying in general, like going through stuff as
That's
a
what I'm
man.
talking about.
Do you feel like you need to sometimes speak to somebody, or do you ever have them times where you break down and you're like, "Yo, maybe I do need to speak to a therapist"? Because I do.
I I have one. I have one right now. You know what I'm saying? Like I have a
Well,
therapist
you
right now.
need to get a new
I'm
one
not
because
ashamed
he
to
is
say.
not doing what you want him to do.
But is he a man or a woman?
Oh, that's a woman. Well, I haven't met them yet, but they're down in Long Branch somewhere because of the coronavirus. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting them personally, but I talk to them every Monday.
So how did you? Because as a man, and for me, and for the men that are up here, if I wanted to get help from a therapist, if I wanted to speak to somebody, what was the steps that you went to actually do that, to actually book with a therapist, to actually talk to somebody? What were the
Oh
steps, or what was the thing that made you say, you know what, I need to speak to someone? Because for
man,
me that never spoke to a therapist, I want to know these things because maybe I might have to do that one day as a man that might be going through something.
oh, hold on. Let me address something real quick. Yeah, son, I didn't have my first girlfriend until I was 18. Though. You know what I'm saying? So you are partially right on that, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like I'm sorry, I'm kind of drunk right now. But anyway, yeah, like I my first encounter with the therapist or when I had my first panic attack is when I was 16 years old.
So how long have you been going to a therapist?
20 years, man. I'm 20 years actually, man. It's time for me to retire from this now. To be honest with you, like 20 years, I think.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
20,
So
so
like,
so you've been going for the past 20 years
yes, my first diagnosis was,
You've been going weird for the past 20 years.
to the
man, listen,
therapist.
Boy,
I've been
I think you need to spend your money somewhere else.
well, and you know what I'm saying? Like I've always had insurance and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Because my dad's like I said, my dad worked at New Jersey Transit, so I always had his insurance. But for the
Okay.
most part, I've been in the mental ward and stuff like that, and compared to some of them people in there who be like cutting on themselves and like talking to themselves
So
and
you
seeing,
can't compare yourself to these people. Y'all
yo,
got different issues.
it was weird though because it's like yo something I had to, it begged the question for me. It's like yo, is something really wrong with me? Like these people have like really like tangible problems, like substantial problems. And the thing is, I'm over here complaining because my life ain't turned out the way that I wanted to turn out. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's something. Depression is a motherfucker because you can have the world at your feet. You can have all the money in your account. You can have all of these accolades. You know, college graduate, whatever, and you still wake up every day feeling like a loser. That's a that's a burning hot
Nah.
contemplation.
So
That's
was that
Is
your
that how you
diagnosis?
feel?
Was it depression?
Yes, it was. It was depression at first, and then it graduated to suicidal ideation and nothing. None of that schizophrenia stuff. That stuff is like, yeah, that stuff is way beyond the pale for me. But like, it was just depression. It's like it it gets to the point where you're so depressed. You know, you have to be at work at 10 o'clock, and at 9 o'clock you're still laying in bed. It's a crippling, debilitating illness, and a lot of people don't understand it. You know, when I first got diagnosed with it, it it was like I talked to my parents about it, my grandparents, and you know they come from this old medieval from the South, spare the rod, what is it called? Spare the rod, spoil the child, or something like that. They follow that Bible stuff to a T.
So they
And
didn't whoop you.
it was
Good
basically like,
question.
okay, grandma, I'm depressed. Oh, we just need to beat it out of you, and that's the devil in you. They didn't take what I was saying seriously.
That's
So as I got, yeah, so as I got older, as I got older and situational depression started happening and stuff like that, where I came into a lot of obstacles and a lot of failures and a lot of disappointments and stuff like that, it was hard to talk about it because it was like, oh, well, it's not your fault. It's nobody else's fault but your own. And that's something that a lot of men go through. It's like whatever happens, whatever situation, whether it was indirect or direct, is always, oh, a man has to look at himself and he has to look at what he did wrong. And he may have done nothing wrong.
But
no,
that's how it is for
I understand.
everybody, though.
Yeah.
I feel
I
like
think
that's what it is for everybody, though.
Yeah. But I'm
Yeah,
just
When it
I was
comes
about to
to
say that's not a
look,
man thing. That goes across the board.
yeah,
I get tired
and
of
then
blame.
it's like,
I
okay,
get blamed for a lot of shit.
you see how
What?
expressive you are now. Are you that expressive on a daily basis? How you telling us this stuff?
Well, I got some liquor in me right now, yo. So the thing is, I'm kind of spilling my guts and
Um,
everything, So I don't know, what I'm saying. But most of the time, I'm not. You know what I'm saying? Like most of the time, like Ta-tanisha will tell you that I'm very outspoken, I'm very expressive, and that's probably why I'm the black sheep of my family because I say what's on my mind. You know what I'm saying? Like I respect people, who can tell me what's real. You know what I'm saying? I respect realness and honesty and brutal honesty over anything. You know what I'm saying? Because we live in this kind of cupcake, unicorn rainbow glitter society where you can't tell somebody anything without either getting sued or getting fired from your job or what I'm saying. It's ridiculous now, man. I grew up in the '90s. It wasn't like this when I was growing up. Like if somebody told
What?
you something, it was for a good reason. And hopefully you took that constructive criticism to the point where you was like, okay, well maybe there are some things I need to think about and reevaluate about myself. You know what I'm saying? But not everybody want to cry about what somebody said. People
How
lose
about a lot of the
and all this
90s people
shit.
don't take constructive criticism.
It's BS, man. Well, I'm an '80s baby. I'm sorry, I grew up in the '90s, but I'm actually an '80s baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's kind of falling back to the men now. You know what I'm saying? Where men are kind of ridiculed and typecast and effeminized uh for expressing themselves. It's either they call it what they call it now, toxic masculinity. What the hell is that shit?
That's
Yo,
not a new term though. That's
it is
not a
a
new
new term.
term. It is not a new term.
I just heard about
nah,
this
that's
shit like
that's
4 years ago.
That's not a new term.
What the hell? Somebody explain to me what that is. Hello, hello.
yeah.
I don't know, but I think it seemed like from the conversation though, at the end of the day, I feel like also when it comes down to not um expressing yourself emotionally, it's like how real do you want to be with yourself and how real do you want to be with others is what you should look
And
at
that's what
because
it all boils down to.
Yeah,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's still. I think it comes down with maturity, a maturity level also.
hmm
That
Um,
too.
it
I
does.
think, like I said, it took me and a lot of men. It takes us longer to mature than women. It takes us longer to look at certain things. For I can only speak for me. It took me a long time to, like I said, find myself and who I really was, and what just to know you. You know what I'm saying? I think when you know who you are, then you can be completely as a man. You could be whole. You know what I'm saying? I think when you don't know who you are, you kind of trying to find your way. You lost, and when it comes down to like having a conversation with the woman or just being upfront about certain things, especially in relationships, I think that's where you get the lies or I want to be this, but uh, let me lie and act like I'm doing this or I am this person when you don't
Well,
even know who you are.
can I say that? Can I retort to that? the reason why men struggle with trying to find themselves is because we do all of our actions have to do with impressing females. Straight up. Jay-Z and R.
That
Kelly.
shouldn't even be the
Nah, I don't. I
your
disagree.
priority.
Like you
I
don't agree
want you
with
to
that?
say something
Priority's not
that
straight,
you
man.
have done, and I keep saying this to you because anytime your response come in, it has something to do with women. It's never what you or what the man done. You haven't even told me anything good that the men in your life that was raising you have
Oh,
done for you.
you, didn't-
Like
you didn't
great
ask.
for you. Because
You didn't ask.
obviously they didn't do something right because you are a jerk off to women. And everything that comes out your mouth is negative when it comes to women as a whole. And you never own what you've done or what somebody else has done or the mistakes that you've made. You never own any of them, and you're 36 years old. There's got to be something that you've done for yourself. If I decide, if I go outside right now at 47, after being a freaking rape victim, you're going to say, oh, well, you know what? I'm out here selling ass because I was raped back when I was a kid. No, I'm out here selling ass because I want to sell my ass. If I want to go out here and beat on people for a living, I'm going to
I
beat
think
you
you're
the hell
reaching.
up because I'm a grown-ass woman, and that's what I want to do.
Ta-tanisha.
No,
Hey,
we talking about
That's a
hey,
accountability.
reach.
Press,
That's not
Preston,
reaching.
I sent you a different email link. Check your email. I sent you a different link. My fault. I ain't mean
Ta-tanisha,
that.
that's a reach. You know, me and you talk. You know what I'm saying? Like I
I
can't
know, but you gotta own your stuff, Joe.
Yeah.
You got this whole that's crazy because this conversation, like we said, like I always say, Joe, it's like it's a segue from the last conversation, is a segue into the new conversation. You have made this an easy subject.
How is it easy?
It's
Because it's very
becoming
difficult. It's very
because
difficult for a lot of people to talk about this because they can't respect honesty from one side. It's always
no,
like somebody's
I'm
blaming.
talking about the point of the I mean the subject of this show
It's
is
mental
men and
health.
their
It's
mental
mental.
health.
So this what we're gonna do because we not even on the topic anymore. We kind of drifted off.
Okay.
Um, the thing is about it's not about women. It's about men.
It's
Right.
about men.
Right.
And what are some of the things like you said, Joe? You've actually you speak to a therapist. You go to a therapist. Um, what are some of the steps that you've took, or what are some of the things that you've done? Because I haven't been to a therapist, so this is something for me and everybody else that might not have went to a therapist or might not know how to speak to someone. So
Okay.
what are some of the things that you've seen by going to a therapist that can assist somebody that maybe needs to talk to someone, maybe doesn't know how to talk to somebody. So, or maybe could be that kid that Rob Reese was talking about that ended up hanging himself.
Right.
And my condolences, Rob Reese. But this is the
Right.
topic because it's not about women. It's about us
Right.
as
Right.
men. Like who can we talk to that's gonna really help us? Or are we talking to
We
each other?
you
So being that you've been in
you
the situation, this is the stuff I want to hear from you.
okay. Fine.
Right.
That when I first walked into it was just like I said, it was a scary thing because there's a taboo in the black community as far as talking to a therapist. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're telling your
There
business
is.
or you're putting out the family business. This is some of the things that I've experienced when my family found out that I was talking to a therapist. You know,
Mm.
and basically I was excommunicated. I was excommunicated from my family and was deemed a black sheep because of that. You know what I'm saying? But I knew it wasn't about them. It was about me. And what
Exactly.
happened and they are the reason behind a lot of my behind a lot of my ailments and a lot of my obstacles. So the steps that I had to is I basically had to be honest with you, I basically just had to start like cutting a lot of people off, to be honest with you, and kind of like doing my own thing. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody's recipe, you could give somebody a recipe and your grandma could give you a recipe, but it may never come out as good as hers. That's what
Exactly.
it is. And that's how my family is. It's like, oh, you have to follow our recipe for life. And that worked for you back in your day, but it doesn't work for me. You know what I'm saying? College wasn't even an option for me. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like don't like it was the military. It was graduate high school, get a job, work that rest of the job for your rest of your life. You don't want to get a job, you have to go to the military. That's how it was growing up for me. So it was like when I first decided that I wanted to go to college at age 28, it was like, oh, you're too old to go to college, or who's going to pay for it? You barely graduated high school, all of this stuff. Just a whole bunch of negative reinforcement. So as I'm sitting in there talking to a therapist and expressing all of these ideas and all of these, I have all these ambitions and stuff that I want to try to achieve.
Yeah, motivate.
It, it was hard to motivate myself because I've been hearing that my whole life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and the thing is, I went to college, I quit college, and I went back, and then I quit. Then I ended up taking like six credits a semester and all of that. So it took me longer than the average college student would do that, and that's because I had this ball and chain mentality. I had these seeds in my head where it was like, I'm never going to finish. I'm never going to finish. I'm never going to be anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, believe it. Like, my life is just starting to come around and do a 180 now. You know what I'm saying? Like, ever since I've been working at the Trip, you know. So that's just that. But the most important thing for me, as far as the therapy is, you know, I started indulging more into my hobbies and stuff like that. I still box, even though I'm ancient for it, but I still do that. You know, I write everything down now, and I try to like, you know, I try to take care of myself instead of taking care of other people, because that's one of the flaws of being a Pisces. You know, you feel empathy and you want to take care of everybody. You want to save everybody instead of yourself, to the detriment of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I started doing.
Okay. Preston, what's going on, man?
Hey, Preston.
What's up, y'all? Appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for letting me in here. I kind of came back on the tail end trying to get myself into this group, but appreciate y'all letting me in. Just first wanted to say, man, appreciate that, brother. Your name's Joseph, right, man?
Yeah, Joseph Brown.
Okay, man. Appreciate you saying and doing what you're doing right now. Part of I'm not a psychologist, but I think part of your healing right now is you talking to us and everybody in the group. So that I commend you for doing that. I mean, you know, some of the things you might say, we might laugh, but we not necessarily laughing at you. We're probably laughing with you, man.
Nah, man. You know, I like to keep it light.
They kind of sound familiar because coming from kind of a family kind of similar. Like when you say certain things and they sound kind of emotional, the men in my family or even the women, man, I kind of call the women in my family. I call them like they're like Spartan women. You seen the movie 300? That's how the women in my family are. Even like my wife, they kind of, you say certain things, they kind of look at you like,
so where's this coming from?
Yeah. So I'm teaching it to my son too. I got to kind of watch because sometimes I'm a little too tough with him, but I'm like, all right, well, if his mom's tough with him too. So we kind of like, so I understand where you're coming from, man. Trust me.
Thank you.
Yeah. What do you think what's some of the things that you think, or the people or the places, for somebody that not even just the younger generation, but for us, because they learn from us. So I know Angie has sent me some links. I can't, if I wanted to repost them, but if I post them, it's gonna shut off my Instagram live. But what are some of the things that you think us as men can do for us? You know what I'm saying? What are the places, or what are the things, that need to be talked about amongst us as men?
That's a deep one right there. We first got to talk to each other. I don't know if we scared to talk to each other, or we just so tough, man. We just even talking to each other. And I ain't gonna say racial. All races. I see other men even at my kids' daycare. Our kids might be in the same room the whole day, and when I go to pick up my son or my daughter, the men that are waiting in the lobby with us, they scared to speak. And when I say, what's going on, fellas, everybody kind of like look at you like, what is he speaking to us for? Yeah. Like, what's going on? My son's in your son's class. So it's just males. We just so like right now, that's the first thing. Just can we even talk to each other? I'm speaking English.
Why do you
so I don't
think that
understand
men are like that though, Preston?
I don't know, man. It's everything. It's social media. It's what you see every day. It's just what we've been taught. Like you said, how we're socialized. You know, growing up, you know, you probably don't speak to anybody but the people that's in your family. You talk when you leave out your house, you know, this our family, we tough, we this and that. If anybody mess with you, beat their ass. You mess with your sister, brother. So everybody is taught to be like, if they not in your household, they, you know, it's us versus the world. So you carry that shit excuse my language, you carry it all the way up into your adult years. And when you see people, if you haven't, you know, been around other people have better experiences, you still in that, you know, that tough guy mode. And you don't have to be. So it's a lot of things, a lot of influences.
So let me ask you guys a question. And to me, I feel it has something to do with mental health. What causes a man not to be sexually active?
What?
What causes a man not to
What
be
causes a
sexually
man?
active?
Yes.
If you
To
cheat on
not
him.
be sexually active. Oh yeah.
No, you don't.
Man, I think you got some vindictive dudes out here though too. Like the
no, I'm
pleasure.
just, I'm
Come
just saying,
on,
like, I'm just saying,
bro.
like,
No.
if as far as for me, if you're not attracted to the person, then it's gonna be, or if I think in every relationship, right? If you're
But
missing
it's not,
something,
wait. I'm sorry for cutting you off. It's not necessarily just a relationship thing. You have some men that are not being sexually active.
they might be impotent. Something might be wrong.
Some people can't get up
Some people can't. You know what I'm saying?
on
I
it.
don't know about that, so I can't speak on it.
I
Yeah,
met
most
somebody
men
like that
ain't shutting
before.
that area down. That's the area that we don't shut down. Like vampires with that, we got to eat now. Goddamn it!
I
It's
met
a
somebody
thirst
like
that
that.
never goes away.
Exactly.
Feel like laid out here. You can't go too long without that serum now.
I don't know what just happened. How did I
Oh,
lose you
Y'all
guys?
can hear me?
can you hear us? Yeah, I can hear y'all.
Yeah,
I
I met
think
a guy like that before though.
you met a guy like that.
Yeah, and his problem that's funny. His problem was his problem was it just took too long for him. It take him like hours to get up, and it's just like by the time he up, it's just a wrap. You sleep or just ready to leave the
Vitamins.
house.
Yeah, I don't know nothing
And
about that.
Yeah, I ain't go
you
to
got
school for
people
that
like
one.
that though.
Yeah, I ain't. Yeah, I don't know
I
about
feel
that.
like it's there because you got some people that's vindictive. They try to like punish you. You know how like women they be like, why they holding out? I think men be doing the same thing.
I ain't never did that.
Damn, son, really? He said,
I
I
nah, I'd
have.
rather die.
ain't.
I told you it's a thirst. You need it.
Yeah, you gotta.
And thank
Yeah,
you, Crystal. See, Crystal knows what I'm saying. Like lack of attraction.
lack of
But that
attraction.
no, I'm not necessarily saying that. But mental issues, old age, etc. Y'all crazy.
I don't care.
Chasing
Listen,
money.
listen. I'm gonna tell you
Son,
something.
put your phone in the garbage.
I'm gonna tell you something right now. I could be in the retirement home, the old
Oh
folks
my
home,
God.
and I can have me a woman with no legs and arms. I ain't gonna never have that problem.
Ever. I'm weak.
But you, like, although you've been through what you've been through, right? And
Mhm.
dealt with things mentally that you've dealt with, that isn't the case right now. And then on top of that, you have somebody be on your side that supports you and all of that. So not to say that you can't start having those feelings again, but you do have someone that you can confide in. And even if you didn't have her, you still have your friends or whatever the case may be. Everybody don't have that. And even when they do, some people, they could be talking to all these people. You could be talking to your lady. You could talk to your men and still have these issues because you don't want to show them. Nobody necessarily knows whether you decide you want to be, that you can't be sexually active or not. You have men, you got some of the finest men that got these issues, and it's not just impotence, it's something mental.
They might, yeah, I was gonna say it might be a mental thing where they might have went through something traumatic. That's just like a woman that has been raped. You know, she might not ever want to be touched. You know what I'm saying? So I'm it's just like you said. There's some men out there getting raped too.
Right. But
So
that's why I mean,
Y'all speaking on adult
I can,
men being
I,
raped by
I know.
women? I'm
It
sorry.
happens. I
No,
never
you go ahead.
seen.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was asking. I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible. I was just trying to figure out which one you were talking about when you said, okay, so adult men have been raped by women.
Yeah, no, believe it or not, you do have some adult men that's been raped by women.
I don't want
Wait,
no woman like that.
so you saying, are you talking about before entering the relationship, a person that wanted to be sexually active, or after y'all in something?
Well, I ain't talking about me though.
Nah,
I think
I'm
I'm
I,
just,
so wrong.
I don't know.
it's just a question.
I think back in the day, that might have happened to me back in the day.
Sometimes
Yeah,
you don't.
what? That you
Yeah,
could,
rape.
that you didn't want to
Yeah,
have sex with somebody?
Yeah, I was forced. It happens.
I
You
used to
was,
wonder
wait,
how that was
I'm lost.
possible,
You
but
said you
you
were
think
forced
about
to
it,
have sex and you didn't want to be sexually active.
Yeah, it was a woman. This is my early 20s, early 20s.
And see, he was still an adult
Was
at
she
that
older?
point. Wasn't a small child,
Yeah, but
but it didn't stop you in the long run. You just didn't turn it off from that point. So
I mean, yeah, but if that's what you want to call it, that's what we're gonna call it. But I think that it's a mental thing. I think everything is a mental thing. If a person has issues like that, I think it's always somebody for somebody. So it's always gonna be that person out there that's gonna fulfill a person's needs. So what one person might not be able to do, somebody else might be. But it's a mental thing at the end of the day.
Crystal says some men do that. Some men hold out to punish a woman.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah,
Um,
but
Like it's vindictive.
I don't know.
Nah, I think that's real. I think people would really be out here being vindictive. I've heard that several times before. That's why.
I
but
think
women been doing
they
that for a
probably getting
long
it from
time.
somewhere else.
Or getting it from somewhere else.
They could play that game, just not give. They being vindictive, not give it to you for whatever crazy reason, but they getting it from somewhere now. Come on now.
Yeah,
every Crystal said men get raped by men and women, and they do. They do, and it's not just in a prison setting. So it happens.
Hey,
you know. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
The sad part about all of this is most of the time stuff like this happens in the family. That's the sad part.
Exactly.
You can't even trust half the time you can't even trust your own damn family. And or you pick up those bad habits or those bad traits from
Yeah,
people in your family.
that's
That's
true.
just
That's
what it
because
true.
is.
that's all you know, or what you've learned. That's all you know.
And a
Yeah.
lot of things not even explained to little kids. Like, as a young man coming up, you have a curiosity about yourself and your parts and this and that. I think sometimes things aren't explained to other kids, and they get around other kids and they exploring they little. It's just crazy. So somebody got to step. At what age do you say to this a girl or boy? Hey, this is what you don't do. I always tell
Oh, you
mine, say
start
this person
young.
not supposed to be bathing you. This person not supposed to be touching you. This and that. It's
You,
all things you gotta
you start
in the
ASAP.
black community. From what I've seen, it seems like it's not really being said like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's a problem.
it need to be
and
said straight.
Yeah,
Like,
it needs to be
shoot,
said.
it
just
definitely
how
needs to
they
be
be having
spoken
you
about.
talk to your kids at a young age and trying to teach them how to read, that need to be taught then there too, because you got other folks giving them baths, daycares, you got people changing people
Mm,
diapers, all that.
And you see more stuff now
Right.
because of cameras.
yes.
Abuse and all type of
Hmm.
abuse. It doesn't have to just be sexual, but you see all type of things now more so with technology. But yeah, a lot of that stuff starts in the home, and then as a man, which I could speak on men and women, but as a man, you grow up and sometimes you think that this is right, or I'm
Yeah.
not going to say nothing, or somebody tells me not to say, you better not say anything else, you're going to get in trouble. And as a kid, you thinking, well, damn, if I say something, I'm going to really get in trouble. So it does. That's a conversation that we do need to have, not only amongst our community, but in our families as well. And the people that do that stuff that are in the families, they need their asses beat. A lot of
Right.
times
That's
they get
true.
swept under the rug,
Yeah, yeah,
or it's never talked
yeah.
about.
Right. Another thing I started learn what I learned. My wife was kind of saying something to me about as us as men. I don't know if all of the women too. Say your wife might be cooking or your husband might be doing something. You kind of pull up on them from behind, or things that we do. Your kids are watching.
Yeah,
So what I'm learning is we can't do those things in front of them, the ones that are so young, 2, 3, 4 years old, because next thing you know, they doing that to someone else, or they doing that to another kid, or just they're not able to decipher what's going on. Hey, my mom and dad are together, and they don't know anything about sexuality at that age. So they watching what you're doing, and they might mimic that somewhere else in another setting, and then you got a problem. Or someone might be doing that to them, and they saying, okay, well, I see my dad do it to my mom.
yeah,
So it's things now that my wife talked to me about, because I'm I'm known to, she might be cooking, I might pull up on her, let her know I still, but my kids watching. I
yeah.
can't do that. So those are things that I'm learning too. That I'd be like, all right, the affection that we show can't be too sexual in front of our babies. So just things we learning.
So I was at the beach. I was at the beach Sunday, and there was a family that was a little way, like, because we have to social distance. They were like at the next little space over from us. So I'm sitting here. I actually caught a picture of it by mistake. I'm trying to take a picture of my daughter, but in the background, the girl that was behind me is like, "Oh my God, you can't post that because look at your background." So the entire time that we're sitting there, I'm complaining and I'm trying to find this guy to talk to this Hispanic family because I guess they didn't think that the young man needed bottoms on. So the little boy ran the entire time that we were on the beach with no clothes on at all, playing in the sand, doing this, blah, blah, blah. Mind you, we have little kids with us. We have
Mm.
smaller little girls. He had to be about 4 or 4. And 4 is kind of a big boy to me for you to just have him out here with no bottom on.
Mm.
So we're trying to explain this to the guy that's riding past in the little truck. And I'm like, why would they have him out here like that? Is that, that's not a problem to anybody else? Because we had to sit here for hours and watch it. And the man said, what kind of question is that? That's a stupid question. He shouldn't be out there like that. But then he rides over there by him and he just looks. And he sits there for about a good minute or so. And then he pulls off and don't say anything to the family. So I was just
keeping
like
time.
really weirded out.
Yeah,
Right. I was really weirded out by it because I'm like, none of the people that are trying to control things on the beach are gonna tell this family that they gotta, cover little man up. And the only thing I could think of is because pedophilia is so huge, like I know I caught the picture by mistake. Somebody else been taking them pictures all day of this little kid, and I was just so troubled by that. And no, and there's a bunch of women. I think it was probably like 1 or 2 men, but nobody thought that this kid should be covered up.
that's the problem. I think when it comes down to at what age and I'm at what age do y'all think that it's acceptable to kiss your kid in the mouth? Because you see that a lot.
No, no age.
You said what?
At what age do you think? Because I mean, me personally, I don't. But I've seen people where they kissing their kids in the mouth.
I think that don't.
I,
What's wrong with the face
I
and the
personally
forehead?
Hmm.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go
I
ahead,
couldn't. I
Preston.
couldn't hear you.
I would just say, what's wrong with the face and the forehead? So you don't have to
Right.
unteach something, make them unlearn something.
But go ahead, Preston.
Oh, nah. Reason being, I never partaked in that. A lot of people don't realize, man. I get into a whole bunch of science and all this stuff. A lot of people have what you get cold sores or
Yeah.
herpes, simplex, whatever. And I'm not saying the sexual transmitters. A lot of people get scary. 80% of United States have it. as they
Yeah.
say, you're asymptomatic. So you might have it and never experience a cold sore. But what they say in early childhood, when most people get it, how are we getting it? Because parents that have it kissing your babies in the mouth, you know what I mean? Or other kids at school kissing each other and this and that. So just things you need to you need to think about. You kissing your kids in the mouth, you may be passing something on. And then the things that we do, I know it's funny, but the things that we do as adults, it's just crazy to me that you can go and reach over in the crib and kiss your baby in the mouth after you just, it's just,
I don't like that. Like, and those parents that
Hey,
let the baby suck the lip. When you
yeah,
got a new baby,
Yeah.
that thing drives me
I don't
crazy.
understand that
nah, I
one
never seen
at
that.
all.
Wow.
I don't, I don't,
Too many
I,
germs in the mouth, be kissing your kids in the mouth, man. Or they pass something to you. I mean, these
yeah,
kids coming from daycare, it's
And
all
then
kind of stuff.
again,
It's still germs
it's
at the end of the
still,
day, no matter who's giving it.
Yeah.
and then at
Don't,
that,
don't,
when you start
it
kissing
don't
your,
look right.
when you
yeah, I
start
don't,
kissing them in the mouth, they're gonna think it's okay for other people or for them to walk up to kiss somebody else. So it's just certain things that you don't want to have to unlearn.
Joe said my dad would have poked my eyes out if I'd have tried that shit. That's why I was laughing, because I'm trying to be serious and I'm sitting there, I read the comments and I'm like, what?
Yeah,
yeah,
nah, it's all good. I was trying to come from a scientific point of view because some people get offended when you talk about just how they do things in their home. So I was trying to give them more of
I,
a medical thing why you shouldn't do it. But me personally, even if it wasn't that, I don't know. I just don't do that. I got 2 daughters, but I still don't. I ain't kissing my girls in the mouth. And no
No,
offense to
sir.
nobody that's doing it.
I ain't doing that either. I just think that, like you said, you when you do that, they go to school, they go to preschool, they grow up thinking that that's fine. You know what I'm saying? And nah, I mean, people that do it, that is what they do, but I don't think you should be kissing your kids in the mouth.
Right.
Kind of.
Angie said, think of what adults do. I tried not to say that though, Ange. Think of what adults do with their mouth
That's what I
exactly.
was saying.
They
And that
kiss
too,
kids
come
in the
on.
mouth.
Yeah,
You
but
know, come
Yeah.
on.
And then
to
Crystal said, some children won't let you kiss them in the mouth. My grandchildren, children, and great grandchildren don't like to be kissed in the mouth.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Try that on a baby. They be like, even trying to kiss them on the cheek, they like they already kind of got, defenses. God and already gave them something to be like, oh shit, this ain't right.
That's what Crystal said. She's like, my children would give you their cheeks to kiss because they don't like kissing in the mouth when they were little people.
yeah, nah,
But
it's
what?
a fact.
Like, damn, bro, it's not. Oh, right
Yeah,
after giving top food.
Joe off
Always
the.
Joe.
But to get back on what we were saying, like, because that's really important, is men and mental health, right? Um, like I said, I haven't personally spoke to anybody. I don't know, Preston, if you spoke to anybody before, but I know I've been at that point where you know you think that it's just the world is ending. You know what I'm saying? And like, ah, man, I could just end it right now. I mean, my mother's actually on my live, and she probably like, damn, I never thought my son felt that way. But I think everybody at one point thought about it, like, man, damn, I could just kill myself because it ain't going. It's supposed to be going. But I think if you have a strong foundation and if you know who to talk to, it makes the world. It really is. It makes the world. It's a big difference. And luckily I had the people around me that brought me through and the positive and support. But the topic for the night is where do we go to as men? You know what I'm saying? And who do we talk to?
Right.
And and who else? I mean, have you been through that, Preston? I mean, I
Yeah.
know I'm not the only person that's been through that situation. Was like, yo, I could
God
just end
said
it
he
all.
has.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Most
So
definitely. I've
what
definitely
pulled
been
you out?
through it. I
What pulled
mean,
you out of that
I
situation?
have to be honest. As much as I talk bad about my dad, I have to say him. My dad is just as talkative as I am. He might not be the best example with a lot of things, especially relationships, but I can talk to him. Sometimes the advice might not be the best, but he actually talks. Like I can actually, be like, tell him like, hey man, this happened earlier or this and that. As I got older, I don't talk to him as much because I feel like I don't want to say I surpassed his knowledge, but some of the things he say, the decisions they're not choices that I would make now. I think I've got past the student has surpassed the master now. But he was the one I was actually talking to. Like I said, I come from the women in my family, like the Spartan women, like the stuff that it's crazy because the stuff I would say to my dad, it's weird because I could be more emotional with my dad, like, man, this woman broke my heart or such and such, man, she messed me up versus my mom. My mom is like, man, get your ass in the shower, shave, go out, go to, that's how she is to this day. So
Yeah,
who I did talk to was my dad. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't have that necessarily. So, but I got to be honest, it was my dad. I've been to all of that, the suicidal feelings, all of that shit, man.
yeah,
Wow.
Got to be a male for males.
yeah. As any other guys that's in the chat, have you all ever felt that or went through that
Son
or
said
even
he's been.
yeah? It's tough. I mean, I never have spoke to a therapist. Um, well, have I? Well, no, I can't say that. I can't say I haven't spoke to a therapist. I haven't been to a consecutive um, sessions. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
as a man, and sometimes you think that I don't need this. I'm good.
I'm going to
You
spend
know,
that money one day, man.
yeah. Or I feel you feel like you're crazy. Like I ain't crazy. I'm people that talk to people. They're the ones that need help. I don't need help. I'm good. I don't. I'm a man. I could deal with this. I could get through this. But not even realizing that the people that I'm talking to, like a Preston or Son or whoever, that's actually therapy. You know what I'm saying? And
It is.
what I stereotype as as a weakness, I'm doing that subconsciously.
I always feel like us men, we bottle stuff in so much. And I've seen it in my family. The men, they'll bottle it in and it starts affecting your health.
Mhm.
Well, a
It
lot of us
does.
men, we dying early because of the stress. That stuff starts bringing on. As you
Right.
get older, all the things that you have in your body, that sicknesses when you're young, that's not acting up. When you get older, the stress is when you hear people be like, man, you gonna give me a damn high heart attack or you running my blood pressure. That shit is real. Like it really is happening because of the stresses.
Okay.
At least I feel that way. That's my opinion. I
Crystal,
always mess with my wife.
Crystal,
I
have a
always tell
great
her,
night.
Good night,
you ain't gonna
Crystal.
stress me out and outlive me. I always mess with her. I always say you gonna kill me and spend my insurance money stressing me out. I always joke like that, but that's how I feel. If you look at like a lot of older guys, man, they so quiet. You talk to them and they be like, look, man, just chill. You ain't gotta speak on everything, man. And but sometimes you do have to speak up to your woman because you bottling it in and you feel like you just like, that's how your ass die. You messing with your health like that.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Fabrice, I know you was about to say something, or
I'm sorry.
Ta-tanisha.
Yeah.
No, 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 no. You
No,
good?
Oh, okay.
no,
I
Joe
was
was trying to say something.
so I
Go
was
ahead,
at
Bring that
Robert.
a
So
man Joe
sorry.
back, man.
restaurant. I was meeting some of my siblings for the first time the other day, and it's this brother that my brother that I never met before. It was like two of my brothers were there, another brother. Everybody else was talking or whatnot. Then you had him that was just closed off, and you was like you couldn't really say anything to like get him to converse or anything. So, what would be good question or brain triggering questions to even get a person to open up? Not speaking of relationships, 'cause I'm just talking about even for like that brother of mine. What would you have to ask, or how would you icing up the conversation?
What exactly is he going through, or you don't know what he's going through?
I don't, because he was just kind of like everybody else was talking about like how like their experiences was without having our father, this and that, and he said a little, but it's like he only spoke on oh yeah, he was speaking on career. He wasn't speaking from emotions. It's like he was having business conversations
Is
when everybody else was
that
emotional.
that's a tough subject. That's a tough answer because is and you said this is your father that you were speaking on, right?
Hmm.
So that's is your father still is he still here? Is he still living?
Yeah, but it was like general conversations that we was having as well, though.
I mean, it could be he could have went through something in the past with your father, or it could be a number of different things. But he could have went through something that he just didn't care to speak about, or he wanted to reflect the conversation to business to business in order not to even think about what was even think about your father or whatever the topic may have been. So a lot of times, as for me as a man, if it's something that I feel passionate about that I might dislike, I might not want to talk about that. So we could be talking about or having a conversation, but I might deflect that conversation and just talk about something else that could be around it, but not directly in regards to that specific subject.
And in his mind, you might be a stranger still, even though y'all family, y'all blood, but
Hmm.
y'all just meeting now, and he still considers you a stranger. He might not look at it like a lot of people might say, "Damn,
Right.
sister, man, this my baby sister or this my older sister." He not looking at it from a place of caring and love like you are right now. You still a stranger to him, so he locked up.
Why are you breaking up?
Can you hear press? I had somebody on Instagram, Shay. She said
Damn, he was
he's
breaking
not
up.
ready to have that conversation, and you can't make him. Get to know your brother as a person, not on the past experience. Somebody said that on.
Right.
Yeah, that's just
It
like
is
somebody
a
on the street. They're not gonna
conversation
be
you
come up
open
to you
up.
and tell you their life story right off the bat.
Yeah, yeah.
Joe, you said you wanted to respond. What did you have to say?
Oh, man, I forgot. I forgot. It was something that Preston was talking about, and
I didn't hear him
Blue
because
had
he was breaking
actually
up a little
like
bit.
had a
Sorry.
rebuttal to it, but I actually really forgot what it was. I'm sorry.
Preston,
I'm sorry,
I,
man. This
Damn,
Japanese
what
whiskey
was I
got
talking
me.
about?
I
What
was
was
gonna
I
say
running my mic? I
if you
like
could
for
kind of repeat what you were saying so Robrice could hear you. Robrice, what was the question? She was in regards to, was it in regards to your brother, right?
Hmm.
No, he said that Preston had made a statement before he came in the room. So he was trying to respond to Preston's statement.
No, I was saying Robrice was asking. She had asked something, and press you were explaining
Oh,
what you were saying, but she said she couldn't really hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right.
I was just saying, like maybe he still feels like to him, you're a stranger to him. Not any disrespect, but he doesn't know
Yeah,
you like
I
that.
understand.
You may see him as hey, this is my brother, and you happy to see him, and you don't know him like that, and you coming from a place of love and care, and he don't he may not. I'm not speaking for him, but he may not see it like that. He might look at all y'all as strangers, like these my
Right.
father's kids, but I don't know them. I mean,
Exactly.
if you
And it
didn't see him
wasn't
on the street or see him before, you probably wouldn't even know him. That's probably how he feels. He feel like,
correct. And that's
at this
how we
point.
came in the building or whatnot. And I didn't get a chance to. I wasn't even
I
sitting
have a
next to
I have
him.
a
I just
question.
couldn't. Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah, Preston just left.
I just could tell the disconnect. That's all.
Oh, okay.
So
Go ahead, Joe.
Do you unilaterally think that there are parents who don't accept accountability and responsibility for kind of messing up their kids' psyche, or kind of messing up their kids, kind of messing up the way that their kids think and act? Do you
Yeah,
think that there's like some deep-seated issues that come as a result
Yeah,
of
of
bad
course.
parents?
Yeah, I think that 100%. I think that a
absolutely.
lot of times parents parents don't realize what they've done, and how can you how can you admit to something that you feel isn't wrong? If
Right.
You're
if
right.
I go through life and I think that what I'm doing is right, why am I going to apologize for what might have messed up my child's life? Why am I going to apologize for that? I'm not. I'm gonna think that what I did was right, and you can't tell me no different.
Exactly.
You only know what you
And
know,
that's the,
though.
you know what I'm
That's why
saying?
you
That's
still can't
where
be that harsh on your parents.
my issues come from. It's just, you know, I had to deal with my grandmother's passive aggressiveness and her beating me up. I had to deal with my dad beating me up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had to deal with all of that. And by the time it came for me to talk to him, now that I'm grown now, it's like, you know, it's the conversations that we had didn't really go well. You know what I'm saying? It was it's kind of hard to talk about, but it was kind of like, all right, here's the time for me. Here's a time of laying all the cards out on the table, and as a result of that, I ended up getting kicked out the house. You know what I'm saying? Because it was like, it was a tough pill to swallow. It was like, you know,
They
I
didn't
admit,
want to hear that.
yeah, I admit that I wasn't the perfect child. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't perfect. I'm pretty sure nobody in this room was a perfect child when it, but it came to a point where it was like, okay, let's talk about this. You know what I'm saying? Like, and get it all out, because this actually affected me. I didn't say anything then, but I'm saying something now. And just because I'm older now doesn't mean that it just went away. So that, and my grandmother still has a tough time kind of hearing what I'm. She thinks that I'm talking at her instead of to her when I tell her some of the things that I didn't like about her parenting style. You know, it's been times where I got beat in front of my classmates by my grandmother. Uh,
I,
you know,
I got,
I got smacked. I got smacked in the face because I didn't like. Because I said no to her. I disagreed with her. I got kicked out of the house as a young man because I didn't agree with her on a lot of things. And it's just like, if this person says that she loves me, why is she doing all of these things? And when I think the only breakthrough that we had talking about it is when I asked her, "Do you look at me as a man?" She said, "I always." She was like, "No, I never will."
so my question to you is: it's gonna be a day when you have kids, right?
Yeah,
And when you have kids, are you gonna do the same thing that your parents did to you, or are you gonna make that change? Because if you do the same thing that they've done to you, then that's gonna be generational. You know, that's gonna be passed down. So again, what's gonna be the change? What's the change for you?
I've already decided that I was never going to put my hands on my kids because I knew how that affected me. Yeah, I wanted to kill my dad at one point. I wanted to kill my grandmother. You know what I'm saying? Like, I basically concentrated more on my military training just so I can get revenge on them. You know what I'm saying? I don't even want to go into what, like, my technical skills as far as that, but you know what I'm saying? It drove me to a point where I had these impure thoughts about taking them out because of all of this stuff that I do, all the stuff that I went through.
Then that goes back to what we were saying with mental, with your mental. It's just you had to. If you did do what you had set out or you thought that you were going to do, you wouldn't be on. We wouldn't be talking right now. You
Of
know,
course not.
so it had to be something that a switch that said, you know what, let me speak to somebody because I know that this isn't right.
Exactly.
So the biggest thing about all of this and as men is I would consider everybody on here, especially the men that are on here, strong men because we all have. I don't care what anybody says. We all have had certain thoughts and certain feelings about certain people and certain situations about how we overcame and where we're at right now. So I commend you. You know what I'm saying for not doing that. 100% for not doing that. But my question is like, as a man and as when you have kids, are you going to be the same way that your parents and your grandmother were to you, or are you going to make that change?
Of course not. I'm actually going to give them unconditional support. I'm gonna give them unconditional love and stuff like that. I'm never going to look at. I'm never going to. First of all, I'm not going to have a lot of kids because they're indirectly you do give more focus and more love if you have multiple kids. So the thing is, I believe that you
Nah,
know, I only
I
want to have
just
I only want to
I,
have
I
two.
I disagree with that, man. You can have
Okay.
one
I
kid and love
disagree
them
too.
just
Well,
yeah.
I'm speaking from experience because it happened to me. You know what I'm saying? Like my
But
younger
you're
brother
speaking
gets
from
our
but
younger brother
but
gets all the love and all the favoritism, and I get chi beans and
nah,
breadcrumbs.
but there you go. What you were saying before that goes from how your family treated you.
your family
Yeah.
treated you.
Yeah, that you can't use just solely your experience. I get you, I get what you're saying because you got to go off your experience, but you
Exactly.
can't use that bad experience that you had. Just like even with women or black women, you can't use those bad experiences that you have and carry them with everything. Like, all right, I
Don't
don't
get
want
me
to have.
started.
No, I'm just saying it's just the facts though. I don't want to have multiple kids because I want to have multiple kids or I don't want to have multiple kids because I might be able to love them more, not love them less. It's just you might have 10 kids. You know what I'm saying? It's about your experience. It's not about the experience that you had. It's about the experience that you create.
Okay. Well,
Right.
I know my strengths and weaknesses, and I'm not a very good multitasker.
Mm-hmm.
that's the reason I said that. You know what I'm saying? I really want to be able to, focus all my
I do
energy, all
too.
my love, all of my resources, and into that child or children. But I don't want to have a bunch of kids around. That's probably the reason why I'm scared to have kids now because I want to be able to give them things that I didn't get when I was growing up. I'm not just talking about material. I'm just talking about just that
Affection.
support that I never had.
I'm gonna tell you one thing though. The thing that you'll be able to give your kids that you never had was the love that you didn't have.
Hmm.
That's what matters.
That's what matters.
But I understood what he was saying though on
Yeah, I
that
want to be
note
able to
because
take. I want
even
to be able to, like I want to take my child to Chuck E. Cheese if they ask and stuff like that. I grew up in the household of it was like six of us
mm,
in the household, so I knew that my dad was he was kind of stressed out and he was overwhelmed and stuff like that. And then we were split up and all of this. So like it was me and my older brother with my dad, and then it was my younger brother with my grandmother and stuff like that. And for the most part, I see from a distance that she still treats him like she did when we were kids. It was always she'll buy things for him, never for us, or he can do the most craziest stuff and she'll make excuses for him and everything. She'll sweep it under the rug. But something that I did when I was 12 years old, I still get talked about at family reunions. It's like, what the fuck? You know?
Yeah, sometimes you're gonna go through that and you're gonna have people that have their favorites. You even see that at work. You
Mm-hmm.
know, the thing that it's crazy because and my mother's watching me on live on Instagram, but I didn't have both of my parents. I had my mom, you know what I'm saying? And I stayed at this aunt, that aunt, and it's not that my mom was on drugs or anything. It's just she tried her best to take care of me the best that she could. So I stayed with this aunt, this uncle.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, if you really want to think about it, as I grew up, they would have thought I would have been the one that got in trouble because I didn't have both of my parents.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I didn't have my father in my life or my whole life, it doesn't make me any less of the person that I am today because all those experiences that I went through, like the experiences that you went through, it just makes you a better person. So I think whenever you do have decide to have kids and you find that right one, I know for a fact you probably gonna love them kids more than you're gonna give them the world.
Hey,
It's
I've been told that plenty of times. Like, you're gonna make a good father, and I'd be like, what are you talking about? Stop! Like, you try to gas me up. Like, don't say that. You know what I'm saying? Because the thing is, like, I don't know what it's like to be a father, and I see that as a very very hard job to be a
yeah.
parent, according to my brother. So he has two kids. So that's what scares me the most. This is like, it's I don't think I'm ready. I don't think I'll ever be ready. But if it happens, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
My biggest fear, and I think all of our biggest fears as parents, is letting our kids down.
Yeah.
Um, Not being a good role model for our
Facts.
kids. Or something happening to our kids. Especially, you see with the black, especially as black men, we getting killed every day. You have a kid and you it's a shame when as a black man, and I can't speak, or I could speak for a black man, but as a black man, you're taught from when you're a kid, if you get pulled over by a police officer, make sure your hands are visible. Roll your seat, roll your windows down. Don't do anything. Stay still. And it's just, it's sad, but that's the biggest thing
Yeah,
for me, is worrying about something, me not being holding or standing, holding the standards of what I feel that I should be for my kid, or letting my child down. And I
Hey,
think that everybody that has a kid probably feels the same.
hey, you know we don't have the complexion for the protection. You know what I'm saying? Like they look at black men as boogeymen. You know what I'm saying? Like and the darker
I
you
ain't
are,
never
the
heard that.
harder it is.
I like that. I like
Yeah,
that.
I like that. Yeah, Joe, I like that.
Complexion for
Yeah.
protection.
But ladies, I mean, I know it's people on my live, or ladies, did y'all have any more questions for us? Because I mean, we that's why we're here. We're here to answer any questions that you all may have for us men.
If somebody want to get in and they can't get in, let me know. I get out. I'm running on
no,
bars.
everybody can get in, Preston. Thank you.
There you
Okay.
go. You see, that's the warden right there. You see how she said that, right? Nah, but did anybody on the live have any questions, or ladies, or anybody in the chat, did y'all have any questions?
No, now that we somewhat identified some things, we need to have a solution.
Right.
We need to have a solution. Now, I know you said
More
Ange had a
whiskey.
few links, but that is not the solution. Actually, I feel like, and this is just my own thing, I feel like people that go through that do have these issues shouldn't use these vices, because I think that it kind of hurts you more than it helps you.
Yeah, I agree. But who's to stop you?
Exactly.
If
Nobody's
if
gonna stop you, Joe.
if
Exactly.
you
No,
think
and I
that
also got some
nothing's
and I also got some Cheesecake Factory too. So you know what I'm saying? Like I'm getting the best of both.
Hey man, treat yourself, brother. You deserve
yeah.
Exactly. Unemployment has been good to me.
I hate him.
Oh man.
Thanks,
Ain't no
Uncle
shame in this
Trump.
game.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Uncle Trump.
I think the only solution is, like we were saying before, as far as men and mental health, is we just gotta talk to each other. I think it's and really open up, and not look at it as being weak or timid, or you need to talk to
Oh,
somebody.
why are
Finding a lot more that, and it's crazy because before it was like, and I come from an area that is, well, when I was growing up, once I came into this country, the area I lived in was predominantly white. And now where I live at now, it's diverse. So it's like a lot of interracial couples and so on and so forth. So it's a lot different from my children. But I know that when I was younger, you had a lot of the suicides and this and that. And believe it or not, it was a lot of the white kids. They were
Yeah,
killing themselves, running in front of trains, taking drugs, hanging themselves, cutting themselves, and stuff like that. But now that we're looking like some people didn't believe that, like during this whole Black Lives Matter movement and all of that, that some of these hangings wasn't from other people. Like one family actually let everybody know, like, no, he was suffering from some depression. And I'm sitting up here like, how the hell did he hang himself from there? But they're figuring it out. A lot of our men are finding, not necessarily hanging themselves, but they are killing themselves. And if you look at it, this is what's happening now. Now, I don't remember that from that being when I was young. And a lot of people won't believe that, but because your focus is on what's going now, like somebody like myself, my focus is on what's going on now, you start looking at certain things. And it's sad to say, if you're not, it's like everybody's pointing a finger and making it, oh, well, you know what, the white people are making us doing this. But but our men are suffering from a lot of depression. And some of them are can't battle it the way that they thought they could, and they're killing themselves.
Right.
And people don't realize that everybody isn't killing us. Some of us are killing. Some of us are killing ourselves.
Can I ask you a question, Ta-tanisha?
I don't. Mm.
Hold on. Before you say that, because I know Rob Reese was trying to say something before. Hold
Yeah,
on. Hold
Robert,
that thought. Hold that thought.
No, I was just saying. Well, based off what you just said now, I don't really think it's too much of a group solution that you can do. I think it's more so individual of the people that's around you that you can change. I don't think we can like just change everybody or the majority of people unless
Being
it's
that
like
support
okay, we got
system.
more. Huh?
Being that support system.
Yeah, basically. Because we don't even have that many homes for like maybe if they created like something like a man institution, more men would come or something and sit down and talk. But until like that is publicized or whatnot, I think it's just changing the people around you or helping the people, not so more so changing, but allowing them to know that hey, you can talk to me, bruh. You good. We can keep this to ourselves or whatever.
But speaking of institutions, a lot of the mental institutions were shut down. I know back when I was younger, there was
Mm.
of a lot of psychiatric hospitals open,
1
and they
minute,
all were
Manny. I'm gonna
shut
go back
down
on real
under the Reagan administration. And some people were thinking that it was during the Obama administration, but it wasn't. It actually was put forth during the Reagan administration, and in
I'm
a
gonna go
lot
back
of the
on real.
things started happening like around the whole
I'm gonna go off for 1 minute.
Clinton, but it was already put in place. So now you have these people with nowhere to go. There's nowhere for anybody to go and talk to, and you have to make up these places or try to arrange your own conversations, like
Mm.
even for men and for women. But I feel like a lot of men don't know where to go now.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Joe.
Mm,
Don't
I
tell me
don't
you
want.
forgot.
I don't want to be offensive, but that's not my style, Ta-tanisha. I just have to ask you this, and I'm not. I'm not coming down on everyone, every black woman, but let me take a shot. Do you,
Don't do that.
do you think that that child support contributes to a lot of black child support and the threat of incarceration and the threat of domestic violence? Do you think that contributes to a lot of black men's problems?
What?
I'm gonna go back on live once this go
Hold
off.
on, hold on. That's what you better do,
Man,
Blue.
come
That's what you
on.
better
This,
Because
do.
this
all
But
about
those
to
this
get.
coming from
personal
a man
choices.
that's not
Wait.
even a father, okay?
This
Number
about to
I
one,
get
feel
right?
like
real.
that's
Don't you
personal
speak on
choices
child
from the
support
man because
until you
child
have to pay.
support is
You just
First of
basically
brought.
your
all,
choice
let
to
me
not take
explain
care of
something
your
to you.
child.
Let me explain something to you, brother,
I'm just
right?
asking questions.
No,
I
no,
just
no.
ask.
Let me explain
That's
something to
personal
you, right?
choices, man.
Now, I'm going to speak on behalf of other people because unfortunately, or fortunately, that is not my problem. I don't have that issue, right? Same thing Blue said, well, I never had to deal with that. I've never had to deal with my kid's father not taking care of them. I don't have that problem. I don't have to. I've never dealt with having to go to court and make and do. I don't have that problem. But I know there's a lot of people that have that issue. And it's not a black man thing, and it's not a white man thing. That's a thing across the board. You got a lot of men that don't do their part, and now you want to woe is me. Yeah, I know you got over here. There are those men actually that actually supposed to be there, but taking care of it and corny shit like man, you don't want to feed
Breaking up.
you. Now you
Yeah,
want to use that as something that's a gift
you
to me.
breaking up.
But a lot more
Let me.
people
That hurts so
that
bad.
feel
She's
like,
breaking up.
She's so mad she breaking up.
I know, right? You sound like a transformer right now.
I still. That's
I
a
can
personal
transform.
choice,
Yeah, I
though.
can.
Nah, I
Well,
think
what y'all miss? Because I could
I,
plug it in.
hold up, but I think that when it comes down to child support, I think that sometimes I think it's good for certain people, but when you can, it's a lot of women that throw that in. If you taking care of your kid, then I think you shouldn't be that.
It's
You shouldn't be
weaponized. That's
you
what I
shouldn't be
I
think.
take
throwing that. You shouldn't be
I,
throwing that
That's
in
only
nobody's
if you're
face. Like,
taking care
oh,
of your kid.
oh,
cheers.
I'm
I
gonna
take
take you to court.
but
That part I don't. But the people that don't take care of their kids, child support is needed. But if
if
you take
child support is needed and you don't take care of him, you need your rights taken away, or you need to give up your rights to your child because you are not taking care of that child. And if in fact you feel like you just gonna be out here balling out of control, they need to take your black ass and put you in these shackles and let you sit for a minute.
And then that goes back to the
And let
That
it
neck is
on that.
moving. That neck is moving pretty. It's moving pretty fast. You upset? You mad?
Yeah, I'm mad because this coming from a man that don't even
down
got
low,
no kids.
Oh my
How you
god.
know? How could you
This is
feel that and you don't have children?
I just Ta-tanisha, this, how many times did I gotta say this? I'm an umpire. I call shit out. I only call
Why
out
don't
what
you
I
What are
call
you
out?
calling out
Let me hear
though?
it. Let me hear the black man, that black man right there in my left corner at the bottom, right? I want that black man to call out some bullshit on a black man.
I didn't say all.
No, 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 no. You always trying to dodge what I'm saying. That
Trust
shot
me,
was for you.
I'm not Floyd Mayweather. I can't do that well. I
No,
can't.
no, no. That shot was for you. I need you to tell me. Tell me, I want you to go and point out some shit about the black man. Same thing I asked you when I said, give me some positives about black women, and you just start spewing words and shit. Like, no, I need some honest reaction and feedback. That's what I need.
Damn,
And
Ta-tanisha.
crazy part, you my guy, but we be on here. This is good. I like it. Because then I get to dig in your ass. You need to start pointing out some stuff about yourself and about other black men. Because every time you open your mouth, it starts with W-O.
I
hold
just
up,
asked a question.
hold up,
But what about the
I just asked a question. I
incarcerated what he
wasn't
was
casting
talking about?
aspersions.
hold up. Let me just put something on real quick for.
I can't.
Let's go, let's go.
Don't you do you
Shut
think
up.
that men
Okay. You want me to go? You want me to go in? First of all, let me get another shot because I'm not drunk enough.
but what about the
Let
jail
me get
thing? That's
another
what I want
shot.
to
Hold on
know.
one
If you
second.
go to jail, that's your personal choice.
You always got to be trained.
Hold up. This one for him too. Hold up. Oh my gosh.
Oh, snap.
All right.
I need it.
I'm back.
Get out of here. Get
You want
out
me
of
to?
here,
You
man.
want me to
Shit,
name?
you know what I'm saying? Give me a little piece. Get out of here. Get out of here, man. Shit, you know what I'm saying?
So you want me to name five? I gave you five positive things. See, I gave you five positive things last week about a black woman.
I'm
You
not giving a
basically,
number, Joseph.
you
I'm
gave me.
asking you. No, no, no. I'm asking you, right? You sit here, even when with this conversation being about mental health, right? Everything was pointed out about what someone else did to you and your father, right? But what are these things about yourself? What do you could tell me that a man does to himself? You could tell me a million other things. That's just like somebody would be like, "Oh, I'm not perfect. You know, I did X, Y, Z." I don't even hear Joseph doing that. There's
What?
never what
Are you
I
serious?
never hear you doing it.
How many times?
Oh,
Yo, how
you
many
know
times did
what?
I
I
come up here and I
thought that
bared
that's
myself?
why, or I did this, or you know what? I was messing with this one, or you know what? I was a horrible ass kid. I used to be out here selling
Because
drugs
he
or
don't
cursing
take
my
accountability.
around and
I
knock my
admitted to
damn
that.
head. And I'm like, oh
Hold
my
up.
God, you
Hold
don't
up.
love me because I cursed you out and you wasn't supposed to hit me. You were supposed to say, don't do that, Joseph.
Hold on. Hold. Time out. Like I'm throwing the yellow flag. That's a penalty. Penalty. Flag on the play. Yo, you said that I've never said anything about myself. The last 3 weeks I've been on this show have I not bared my soul and said everything that needed to be said about my flaws and everything. I can't just blame everybody else for the situations or the experience that I've went through. I've said that repeatedly. Like you mentioned before.
You listen to me.
Hold on, time out. You mentioned before that because I have strong opinions about black women, you think that as a buffer, you think that I just hate all black women, and I stated repeatedly that I do not hate black women, but I do dislike very strongly. I'm not going to use the word hate. I do dislike very
Black
strongly
women.
some of the attitudes, the passive aggressiveness, the undermining of our men and stuff like that. I am a self-proclaimed masculinist.
Undermining.
Oh,
Look,
I am a self-proclaimed masculinist. I said that everybody has all of these programs and all of these spokespeople for women, but nobody ever speaks up for the men. And this is the reason why we're having a conversation like this tonight, because there's no men defending men.
This conversation wasn't because, oh my God, somebody come and help the man. Somebody throw the rescue van. Win, nigga. Look, at the end of the day, right? You have issues with and when we even talking about conversations with men, it's always women. Everything that comes out your mouth is the woman. We sit up here talking about
the barbershop is the black man's country club. That's all I hear when we go into every man here can agree with me. Every time we go into the barbershop, what is the topic of conversation? It's either sports or women, right? Am I right?
Hold up, man. Hold up.
What?
Man.
Let me tell you something, right? I don't really know Preston, but I hear Preston's views.
And most of the time, who do we talk about? Black men. Like, just for black men. Who do we talk about? We talk about our women. We don't talk about white
Blue
women.
is my partner right here, right? And I can hear him sit here, even behind the scenes, sit here and tell me things that he's done or other men done, and still stay here and stick up for women. You don't stick for any women at all, not even this much.
Why? Y'all so strong and independent. Stick up for your goddamn selves. Shit.
Whoa.
First of all,
y'all motherfuckers y'all can't even protect yourself against the no good niggas that y'all have babies with willy-nilly. Let's be real about that.
First of all, you said I don't know who y'all motherfuckers is. I don't know who
He from Cleveland.
Hold up.
I'm sorry.
Don't
Yeah,
drink no more because you're saying too much.
You can't say that, man. That's
no, because all women aren't saying it. Right at the end of the day, I don't have to sit here and protest that and shout it out that I'm a strong black woman, because my aura provides that for me. Okay, and every room I step in trembles, so I don't have to open my mouth.
And Steve Jobs, and Bill Gates don't have to say that they're millionaires.
You didn't even cross me the wrong way, my brother.
People know that. They don't have to say that.
Exactly, but you sit here and you talking about they want to be you want to talk about strong and independent. Tell me about me. Don't tell me about everybody, because even the people that surround me, even the people that surround me are strong black women, and they don't gotta holler, I'm a strong black woman.
Oh, I don't want to get into argument.
You putting people, Mr. I'm proud and I think I'm a good catch. Get your ass out of the bad lake and go somewhere where you can get that rubbing off on you of some greatness, because you got a problem.
I do. I admit that. I do admit that I have a problem. I'm not perfect.
But how you try to categorize black women specifically is crazy, yo. That shit is crazy, yo.
I don't categorize that, but the thing.
That's crazy. It always comes back to the black woman. Like it's crazy, yo. It's crazy. We went totally off of men and mental health, but this is an issue.
Every one of our
here.
conversations, Joe talk about women, black women. Every one of them.
You put me on the spot. Every time here's the thing. 50 Cent, last week, 50 Cent and Lil Wayne was on a talk show, right? They said something. I could say it wasn't out of line, but it was kind of a topic that provoked conversation, so to speak. And you have all these women or these black women on Twitter, on the Twitterverse and on the Instagram saying that because he said this, he's basically typecasting all black women in the same ilk. And no, he wasn't. He was basically saying that when he became rich, he started his preference of women started to he started to see different women, and he said that it was different women that he see that didn't look like the woman that he was used to growing up in South Jamaica, Queens. That's all he said. He didn't say that black woman wasn't this and black woman wasn't that, but everybody took it as that. And the thing is, while I'm listening to the conversation, that I'm looking at the Twitter feed and all of these women are going off on 50 and stuff like that, knowing that if 50 acknowledged them right now, they wouldn't even be talking all of that. But here's the problem that I had. But
that's a weak woman.
I had a problem with that personally because
that's a weak woman, yo.
Yeah, exactly. It was basically like, 50 don't know how to handle a strong black woman, and 50 done sold out and all of this stuff. And basically, he said, listen, if you get $10 million right now, you're not going to be driving the same car that you're driving right now. You're going to upgrade. That's basically what he said. Once he became rich, he upgraded.
But what's the upgrade? What's the upgrade from a black woman?
Wow, bro. Wow.
What's the upgrade? What makes a black or a white woman? What makes them different if they're a woman?
I'm not hateful, man. I wish people would stop saying that. Just understand just hear me out, please. I'm not being hateful. It's not an upgrade from black women, but it's an upgrade from the certain black woman that you're used to in your hood. That's what I'm saying. There's a difference between a classy black woman and a hood rat. That's all 50 was trying to say.
But when you speak, you categorize all black women as that. That's the problem.
What is the problem? Listen, like I said last week, a couple weeks ago, in order for us to have a solution for certain things, we have to have these conversations, bro. It's not like I'm not afraid of a good, intelligent, sometimes heated conversation. I'm not afraid of that.
But what's one good thing you could say about a black woman?
I already said it. That y'all very resilient, and honestly, if a man gets the right black woman, he will have a partner for life.
Nah, but not just
if a black woman gets the right black man, she'll have a partner for. What the hell kind of shit is that, bro? You got your way of thinking, and they're yours. And this is my opinion, is trash. Okay. Like everything you act like, everybody sit here and they deal with like people just think that black men are just so, they have no problems in, no issues in. None of them make the black men look bad. I'm with yourself make your.
I'm proof positive of that. I got a lot of fucking problems, yo. Like I got more issues than Ebony Magazine. Like
But for somebody with these problems, you really should shut the hell up. Really.
Oh,
you got mad problems, and all you do is talk about black women. That's all you do. Shut up.
I'm not talking about you.
Shut up. All your shit. Deal with yourself and shut the hell up.
I'm not talking. Why do you think I'm always talking about you every time we have these conversations?
But you always talk about black women in particular.
I'm a black man. I do not deal with white women. I do not deal with Asian women.
So tell me what's one good thing you could say about a white woman?
I don't know. I've never been with a black or white woman before.
All right, what about Spanish?
They can cook. They can cook really well.
All right, so what's one good thing you can say about a black woman?
I said that black woman.
Boy, that's a shame, yo. That's a damn shame. That's a damn shame.
And that smirk, it seems like you just be doing it on purpose too.
Yeah,
we had to get Joe up out of here. I had to go ahead and
I was
get
trying
him
to
up
do it.
out of here.
You see me, I'm over here trying to get him out of here. Like,
Joe done
nah.
had a couple chances. I had to kick Joe up out of
Yo,
here.
Joe fired all the black women up. Even my baby, I was giving her a bath, and she only a year and a half, and she was going off. I'm like, damn, you fired all the black women up. God damn. I had to meet her in the crib. She
36,
kicking me and
man.
slapping me too. She could just feel his energy. Hey, Joe, you gotta take a nap, bro. No more drinks for you, bro.
Yeah, no more drinks
Nah,
for Joe. Joe might we might have to I don't know, man. But nah,
Yeah, you mixing the medication with the alcohol, man. It don't.
nah, them true feelings was
Can't be
coming
doing
out. We
that,
needed to
bro.
hear how he really
Your
thinking.
doctor done told you about that now.
yeah,
You right,
he had to go,
Robert.
yo. Nah, the solution, like we said, the sum everything up and the sum to show up. The solution for it all is really just having for what I think and press. Let me know what you think. It's just having that conversation and having a solid group of people around you that you can speak to, whether it's man or a woman. But as far as if I ever have this was informative to me, regardless if it's our show or not. It was informative to me because it gave me a better insight that it's all right to speak to someone, and or to speak to someone about my issue that I might be having, and not to look down on it as a weakness. You know what I'm saying? It's more only thing
Right.
that it's doing
Don't
is just
bounce your
help.
ideas off other people.
Yeah. So I've learned a lot from this show, and I appreciate you all a lot. Especially
I
the
think
ladies.
Ange said she had a list of information, correct?
Yeah, I have to what I'll do is I have everybody's email. If you are interested in that information, I'll send you all the information. Uh, we could go from there. But was there anything else that um you all had before we close out? This is our 10th show, so
Yay.
that's
Hey,
big.
Joseph, man,
I
don't
don't
take nothing
know.
personal, man. When I said the medication, bro, we just joking, man. Don't take none of that personal, man. But you got the ladies fired up tonight.
So I
Yeah,
just
nah,
think that it's a very interesting show. I apologize for us. We always get off a topic. We never just really stay on topic. But I think that they all kind of have something to do with each other, and that's why it happens that way. So it's a
Hmm.
conversation, and that's what's going to happen. I enjoy having this conversation with you, these conversations with you guys every week. Like Blue said, it is okay for men to be able to talk to, and they have to want to be able to talk. You have to be able to want to dig deep and be able to get that out, because nobody could make you speak to somebody, and don't be embarrassed, because I don't know,
yeah,
it's okay.
yeah, it
It's
is.
okay to cry too, just so you know. I had to tell my son that it's okay for you to cry. It's okay for you to sit down and talk to somebody. It's okay for you to vent. It's okay for you to have feelings. It's
Yeah,
okay.
Hmm.
So, and I love y'all, and I mean that.
we love you too.
You too.
Even though you cursed out Joe, but we love you too. He needed to be cursed out tonight. What do y'all think?
What night do he don't?
Yeah, every night Joe gotta get Joe. You get cursed out on
Right.
every show.
I think he come
But
on here just to get cursed out.
he can get cursed
Yeah,
out.
like
That's
Son said,
murder.
he be
Like he did
trolling.
that on
And
purpose.
Yeah,
no, but I know. But I come, you know what? But to believe it or not, and I know Joe is probably still in the room in the chat. I honestly have to mentally prepare myself now, because I know that Joe's gonna come on the show, or I feel like Joe's gonna come on the show because of the topic, and I have to like prepare myself going in and say, you know what, you're not going to yell, and I don't know if nobody recognized that. You're not going to yell. You're not going to go off. Tonight you're leading. Let your boy Blue had his. No, you good. Just sit back and chill. And it was killing me, guys. I'm so sorry.
nah, it's all good. But you
Mm,
know
man.
what? Out of all of it, I think it's a reliever for Joe that he can actually talk to us, regardless if he get cursed out every day, every show we do. I think it is it's helping him at the same time. I know
Right.
every show that we do is helping me. You know,
I
so
just
I
wish he
think
didn't have the liquor tonight. That's it.
yeah, Joe was
Joe
wild.
like young Charlemagne. That's how
Yeah,
Charlemagne started out. He was always,
yeah,
you know,
Oh
controversial.
Lord.
But I mean, he was
Son
dropping the
said,
radio
yo,
stuff
he
and he
be
got people to
trolling
talk.
nobody that ignorant. No, he really like that, son.
yeah. We not. I got Shay on the live. She said, "Don't discourage Joe. These talks may be helping him in some way." Yeah, I completely agree. I think these
Which
talks
is
is
why we welcome him, because I ain't decided to say, hey, Blue, block and make sure Joe Brown don't get on.
yeah. Nah. We good. We good. I think
We
the
welcome him.
thing that I'm excited. I think we should do a. I think we should do a reunion show.
You just keep saying that every week.
I think we should have all the guests that we've had on so far come back on and just let everybody get everybody have a conversation. We can see what each and everybody is doing as far as since the last show. And I think yeah, we would definitely have to bring Joe back. But I think it'll be interesting just to see where everybody's at from the first show till now. And I think it'll
Wow,
be pretty.
this dude, his neck was long enough, he suck himself. He said, y'all ratings on high fucking with me.
Oh man, Joe off the
He
damn
out
hook. Yeah,
yo,
but nah, I think we should definitely do that. To have a, I think that'd be dope to have a reunion show and have all the guests that we had. I mean, so far we had some pretty dope guests. Even the first show we had A Town and Capone from Capone and Nori. So I think that'd be dope. Just having everybody come on and kind of seeing where they're at and until we go into the next segment.
you had a video in there, or you played it?
What?
You had that. You played the video.
Yeah. I played the video.
The one I put in there is not there.
Oh, that's because you probably got to refresh it. You probably got to refresh.
All right, I'm
I'm gonna
going.
let
My
y'all
phone
go
about to
ahead,
die
man. I'm
again.
still on here like this
Yeah,
my
hey,
shit.
nah, man, we appreciate you, man. Appreciate you
Thank
for
y'all.
coming up, man. I'll definitely be
Okay.
talking to you soon.
All right. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Have a good night.
Appreciate you too.
All right.
Yeah,
All right.
my phone about to die.
So yeah,
Love
let's
you
close.
guys.
Let's close it out. Robrice, I truly appreciate you again so much.
No problem.
All right.
I
Have
think
a good
that's it.
night.
Y'all too.
Okay.
All right. So we're gonna end it off.
Yeah, I guess I had the
Another
video in there.
another crazy ass show with Joe. but but nah, y'all, you all have a great night, and we're gonna that video we're gonna put that on for sure for the next show. All right,
Yeah,
I'll
don't
talk
have
to you.
nothing. Just depending on topic. See you in a minute.
All right, bye.